Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on into the Central Committee stream. We are live and alive. It is 7:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10:30 Eastern, Friday, January 9th, 2026. The year of the change. Liberalism and its myths are being stripped away. And one of the biggest myths is that nothing can change. And nothing will change. Zohran Mamdani announced his first major political victory with universal childcare coming to New York. That was one of the big three. One of the impossible pie in the sky promises. And for a meager $1.6 billion, it is going to happen. Kathy Hochul, partnering with Mayor Zohran Mamdani, will unveil a plan to expand free or affordable childcare for New Yorkers across the state. This is what liberal Ann Lowry was writing just before the election. Mamdani is Cuomo's rumpled, earnest foil. His resume is thin. He worked as a campaign operative for a few years before winning a state assembly seat in 2020. He's a leftist in the Bernie Sanders mold with a raft of great-sounding policies. Free buses, free childcare, cheap groceries, frozen rents, but a lot of these are impractical at best. Free buses would deprive the MTA of needed revenue. Free childcare would require a mammoth tax hike that Albany would need to approve, which it has shown no interest in doing. Oh, I guess it isn't a mammoth tax hike after all. I guess that was just a bullshit lie. I need you to understand that these ideological neoliberals are scum. And if you allow people like Atrioc or Gavin Newsom to worm their way into your positive sentiment, you will be here. I mean, they're not going to even win. Like, they won't even win. They'll actually lose. And I don't think our country can take another, if we have another popular vote affirmation of the right, after what they've done now, America is toast. And the only way that could happen is if the Democrats put someone forward like Gavin Newsom. Again, anyone who gets their political opinion from Asmongold is lower than cattle because you are any better. LMAO. Brilliant centrism here. I mean, what I have to ask you is, there is an attempt to equate us with Asmongold and Destiny because Asmongold and Destiny have no education, no knowledge, no political experience, and they're vile human beings on top of it all. So they're trying to damage us by saying you're the same as them. Based on what? We don't bot our streams. We're not friends with sexual assaulters. We're not spreading propaganda about the murder of a young mother. And there was a tweet I saw from Asmongold, and we talked about it yesterday. Yeah, rip bozo. They told her to get out of the car, and then she put it in reverse and tried to run over an officer and drive away. Comply with the police and don't try to run them over. She at no point tried to run anyone over. That's just a blatant lie. But notice they have to lie. Notice they can't tell the truth. They have to lie because they're scared. I want you to understand that, chat. If they were really powerful, they would just tell the truth, but they don't because they're scared. They have to lie because they're scared, and they should be. Damn, she was a mother, dude. You act like she brought it on herself because she's stupid. It's not like she was smoking near an oxygen tank like some dumb hillbilly. Exactly. It's not like her dumb shut-in son brought her a pack of cigarettes and then she smoked at 100% oxygen. Okay, like that would be her fault. That would be her responsibility. Boom roasted. Literally. Boom roasted. Clip that. We like comedy here. We like comedy here. Sort of like Asmongold's dating history. He couldn't even he had one of the most hardened professionals in the entire industry. The dating equivalent of a suicide cleanup crew, and she couldn't handle it. She could not handle it. She had to tap out. I mean, that's insane. Like, that's crazy. Fuck me, man. Holy shit. This guy is an expert on murdering mothers. Oh, normies are noticing Asmongold. Normies are starting to notice Asmongold. And I gotta tell you, chat. Oh! You think that you're mean, Asmongold? You think your crew of misfits harassing Frogan are mean? Oh, wait till the normies find out about you, my friend. It's only been us nice left-wingers. Well, I'm not so nice anymore. Stop calling them sacks of shit, Mike. At least shit is used to fertilize the soil. These idiots will rot the soil they fall into. I mean, really, there's nothing to say. Like, Asmongold, I'm trying to come up with like something that he can compare to, and there's really nothing. You know what I mean? Like, he just like most objects can have some sort of utility. Ashes can be turned into lye, you know, like our fertilized soil. Filth, dirt, or waste can be turned into fertilizer. It's just, what is there even to say? Maggots are a necessary part of the circle of life. We need scavengers, we need digesters in order to remove deceased life material and reprocess it so it could be used again. Like, they serve a process. Decay serves a process in the circle of life. He doesn't even serve a process. Rats and I mean, he's like the great garbage patch in the Pacific Ocean. That's it. It's just there's no use to him whatsoever. He's not even entertaining. That's the biggest damnation for me. He's not even entertaining. Nobody ever said Zach is hilarious. You know what I mean? Like, there are some Nazis out there who I despise, but at least people say they're funny. I've never actually heard anyone compliment Asmongold. I've never actually heard anybody say, wow, that guy's really funny. Wow, that guy's really smart. Wow, that guy's really entertaining. The only question I ever hear with Asmongold is, why the fuck does anybody watch that guy? Who the fuck's watching that guy? As Mein Kampf. This was self-defense, idiot. A video showing a murder. Yeah, absolutely insane. I don't understand this type of specific critique. You don't understand why making fun of and destroying your enemy is useful. And everybody's saying, like, Asmongold embraces the fact that he doesn't shower and he's covered in roaches. They're wrong. No, he doesn't. He's ashamed of it. He's ashamed of himself. That's why he doesn't leave his house. He's ashamed of himself. He's got anxiety. He's got social anxiety. He gets nervous. He gets nervous when he goes outside. He's got social anxiety. And then on top of it, he can't even wash himself. Oh, I can't wash myself. I'm too nervous. I can't get myself. Oh. That's Asmongold's internal monologue. Nothing but self-hatred and powerlessness. No wonder he needs a big daddy fascist to take care of him. Honestly, honest to God, the best thing that could happen is somebody, like the authorities, go to his house and take him to fucking an insane asylum and give him a fucking delousing and have him spend the next like 6 months in talk therapy. He needs it. And then for the rest of us to go to his house and torch it with a blowtorch. My liberal platform 2026, Medicare for all, federal jobs program, arrest psychotic tech CEOs who foment hate and spread metric tons of disinformation, no more aid to Israel, no more money to ICE, no war, just PIS, just peace, free TRT, free Ozempic, state-owned guns in every gyms in every town. I mean, obviously. My 2026 liberal platform is the American Land Reform Movement. We're going to arrest the top 10 CEOs and expropriate all their land and wealth, and then bring them in front of the country for show trials. Oh, and arrest every crypto scammer. I'm gonna set up a task force to get every single fucking scammer on the planet. We're gonna track them down. We're not gonna send SEAL Team 6 into fucking Venezuela. We're gonna send SEAL Team 6 into scam call centers. All right. That's what we're going to send SEAL Team 6. You're not going to get another scam text. You're not going to get another spam email. We're going to destroy them. That's my fucking campaign. China just recently arrested a crypto scammer who had stolen over $75 billion, and he has been brought back to the country. This is how he was received. Chen Z, the dude who made like 75 billion from crypto scamming and stuff, was extradited from Cambodia to China. The Chinese government released footage of his arrest and are treating Chen Z like he's bin Laden. Dog, the Chinese government is gonna kill this guy. Look at that totalitarian regime. In America, he'd be the fucking vice president. I think it's great that I can finally speak my mind. We need a far left in America, a real far left. We need a real far left. We need people that are saying we need an American Reconstruction Part 2. We need to completely reform the society. It's fucking falling apart. And the state, you know, the Senate should not exist. We should not have tens of millions of people that live in this country that are not citizens. If you live in this country for more than 2 years and you intend to remain and you swear loyalty to the United States, you should become a citizen. We need to end this entire, you know, having millions of people as subhuman non-citizens existing in this country. That should not be a thing. We need to add people as parts of this country with full voting rights or full independence, like Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Guam. They should not be part of the United States unless they have complete equal voting rights with every other America, or they should be completely independent and all American troops should be withdrawn. We need to have an actual functional democratic society. Furthermore, we need to abolish and annihilate every scam religion. We need to dismantle prosperity gospel scam cults. We need to formally address the problem with Southern baptism. It needs to be brought into federal conservatorship. The Mormon Church needs to have its wealth expropriated. Let's be honest. We need to ban all pro-Zionist organizations as foreign interference organizations. We need to arrest all unregistered foreign agents and put them in prison. You're not allowed to have a scam church anymore. Like, we need to actually reconstruct American society because it is fucked up. He looks like a successful entrepreneur. Yeah. All right. So what is happening? ICE shoots 2 people in Portland. ICE shoots 2 more people in Portland. Breaking news. Donald Trump says he wants to invade Mexico. This is breaking news. This has just dropped this morning. Let me get up the... Let me bring up the story. Trump suggests U.S. military will hit cartels on land in Mexico. President Donald Trump said drug cartels are running Mexico. It suggests that the U.S. military could start land strikes against them there. So is he saying that the comments came on suggestions that Trump could take military action in Cuba and Colombia and annex Greenland? President Donald Trump suggested in a new interview that aired Thursday that the U.S. military could begin land strikes on drug cartels in Mexico. We've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by water, and we're going to start now hitting land with regard to the cartels.
Well, I have.
Great to see you, sir.
I didn't know it was a full hour. I thought it was going to be maybe 10 or 15 minutes. But you do that to me every once in a while.
I think I was pretty clear, but thank you for your time. We always appreciate it. There's really not much in the news, so there's not a real lot to talk about, but let's start with Venezuela. Narco-terrorist, indicted, guy that we're losing 200 Americans a day to drugs.
Yeah.
Walk us through this decision in Venezuela.
Well, it wasn't a hard decision. Democrats wanted him and Republicans wanted him, and nobody had what it takes to get him or didn't want to get him. I don't know, something happened, but he killed a lot of people. He sent a lot of bad people into our country. He emptied his prisons into the United States. He emptied his mental institutions and insane asylums into the United States and did a lot of very bad things, but he was a big drug pusher. You see that because all the boats that we shot down, they came out of Venezuela. A lot of drugs. There's a lot of boats and a lot of drugs. There are very few boats operating right now. There's almost no boats. You can't find any boats.
I don't think anyone would go fishing in those waters.
Not a lot of people want to go fishing anymore. We've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by water, and we are going to start now hitting land with regard to the cartels. The cartels are running Mexico. It's very, very sad to watch and see what's happened to that country, but the cartels are running, and they're killing 250, 300,000 people in our country every single year. The drugs, it's horrible. It's devastated families. You know, you lose a child or a parent. I mean, parents are dying too with drugs. So we've done a really good job. We're knocking it down. The numbers are really getting to be, they're always going to be too high if you have one person, but they're going down just like the border. The border was a total mess for years. I did it the first time very quickly, and this time I did it even better because this was a bigger mess. This was a border like no other probably in the history of the world. There's never been a border like that when anybody could just walk into your country.
The border's ostensibly really closed now.
Closed. You can't come in. And nobody comes. Nobody even tries. And the people in Texas, Arizona, all these places that are won by such big numbers, they are so happy with the border. They had homes that they weren't even able to live in their home. Every day people were knocking on their door, every hour. And it's just a great honor to be involved with it. The ICE and Border Patrol and all of the people have been so good. Tom Homan, Kristi Noem.
I mean, I think one of the things that needs to be discussed is a lot of the reason why immigration has gone down is because there is a jobs recession. Nobody's getting hired. Nobody's getting hired. Wages are not growing. So the economic rationale for coming to the United States has been largely cut off because our economy sucks. So yes, they have gone after the border, but it's really because people aren't coming here anymore. You don't come to America to get a job anymore. They're not hiring. But the unemployment rate is skyrocketing.
The people have done such an incredible job. You have no idea.
You've made a number of profound announcements and then a new announcement. Announcement number one was 30.
If you strip out healthcare and social services, the U.S. lost jobs in 2025.
To 50 million barrels of oil that they will be handing over to you, and you will sell it on the market at market prices.
Oh, here's a story from CNN. Hold on. God, I hate Fox News' video player. It may be the worst on the entire internet. Legitimately the worst. Job finding expectations hit all-time low, New York Fed survey shows. The stock market is unaffected. Americans are feeling increasingly hopeless about their employment prospects. New survey data showed Thursday. The perceived probability of finding a job hit a record low, 43.1% in December. Initially, December survey showed that respondents' expectations of losing their job rose to the highest mean probability since April 2025, while the probability of those voluntary quitting dropped to the lowest rate since July 2023. U.S. employers' hiring activity has slumped to recession-era levels in recent months. Economists have attributed this to high uncertainty, in part due to massive shifts in trade and immigration policy that has paralyzed much business investment. The labor market has stalled and settled into a low hire, low fire gear. Long-term unemployment has risen and wage growth has slowed, which has put increased pressure on lower and middle-income Americans and contributed further to widening economic disparity. Oh my goodness gracious. Whoops. Anyway, let's keep going. I must have hit my DMs. Nothing in there is too embarrassing. You are spiritually sodomized by Trump. Your mind has been raped by a subliminal pedo. Okay, dude. I get what you're saying. You're making fun of Trump supporters, but let's not write in a way that Jeffrey Epstein would enjoy. My stepdad is in sales and he lost his job, but he's still a conservative. I mean, identity doesn't snap right away. If you want people to change their minds, you have to make it ego assuaging that they change their minds, aka they have to look smart for changing their minds. They have to look cool for changing their minds. They have to be allowed to change their mind in an unjudgmental way. That's like literally the truth. If you people ultimately have to self-persuade, and some people never will. Did you see that Hemingway's in Pittsburgh is closing in May? Yeah. On Friday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, the Bureau of Labor Statistics will release the latest snapshot of the health of the U.S. labor market, and economists' estimates vary wildly over what we should expect for the final jobs report of 2025. Either way, the unemployment rate is expected to tick down after hitting a four-year high of 4.6 in November, FactSet consensus estimates show. While data like that would be seemingly a welcome indicator of labor market strength, it more likely would be a red herring. Total job gains for 2025 are for a meager 710,000, said Heather Long, chief economist of Navy Federal Credit Union. That's the worst hiring outside of a recession since 2003. Even 2010, on the heels of the Great Recession, was a better year for hiring than 2025. For much of the past 12 months, extremely high uncertainty from sweeping policies such as those related to tariffs, dramatic shifts in the nation's immigration flows, and to a much lesser extent, companies testing the AI waters have resulted in muted employment gains or even outright losses across most industries. The lone exceptions have been healthcare, an industry growing as a result of an aging population, and leisure and hospitality, which has reaped some of the spoils from an increasingly bifurcated economy. Health services, an expensive type of service for most consumers. Leisure and hospitality spending is a discretionary service for all consumers. These two sectors are consistent with a K-shaped economy where higher income consumers are driving spending. These two sectors, which make up 22% of all employment, accounted for 84% of total job gains from January through November 2025. And for the remaining 78%, it's been a far different story. Every other industry is in the throes of a hiring recession. So, cool. Great job, Donald Trump. Donald Trump gave an interview to the New York Times chat that may be one of the most unhinged and obviously Hitlerite. I mean, people use the term Hitlerite, and it has two senses. And unfortunately, every time you use it, I realize that most of you have no idea what Hitler actually said. You just think of Hitler as boogeyman. So when I'm saying Hitlerite, you're not thinking of me talking about his actual arguments. You're thinking of me saying boogeyman, bad man. No, I'm talking about Hitler's policies. I think whether conscious or unconscious, the administration is incentivized to plunge Americans into unstable conditions. The biggest power grab Trump could accomplish would happen if the economy completely shits. It's the widespread unrest button, and it'll give him the power he wants to temporarily delay 2028 elections. I can tell you this right now, that if Donald Trump tries to cancel elections in this country, we will go into a war. I mean, that's all I'm going to say. If somebody is a member of the Republican Party and these motherfuckers try to cancel our elections, then that would be a war. That would be a declaration of a civil war. That's all it is. It's because it would be a complete rejection of political compromise, which is exactly what elections are. Elections are basically wars being fought where we say, well, instead of shooting each other, how about we just say whoever has the most people wins? Which firearm should I start training with? I personally think the AR rifle is the best modern rifle as far as its modability. It is for the value for dollar. There's been a lot of the AK, unfortunately, has kind of fallen out of development. It's a fine rifle, but it's just from, the 47. It's an old rifle. It doesn't have anywhere near. It's more expensive. The ammunition is more expensive. Mods are more expensive. It's just a less capable rifle now. So the AR platform is by far and away the easiest platform to get into. It's the easiest to use. I mean, honestly, in an afternoon, I could turn you into a capable shooter. Not some sort of super sniper, but in an afternoon, the AR, is so easy to handle. The recoil system it's probably, it honest to God feels like shooting a 22. I don't know what their prices are looking like now. They used to be, you could get a capable rifle with a optic for under $1,000, no problem. AK-47 is reliable, though. It will take a beating. Somebody asked me what my opinion is, and I gave it to them. What do you think of Trump pulling out of all global organizations? Do you think he did that to make it easier for him to do whatever he wants? Part of what Trump is trying to do is he's trying to make it so that to fix the problems of Donald Trump will require radical action. Right? And the Democrats are incapable of radical action. So if he acts radically, Democrats are just going to accept that. Look what happened with the Supreme Court, right? The Republicans filibustered Obama's appointee for over 300 days and then appointed their judge. And then when a judge died 2 weeks before the election, they appointed her. They appointed a replacement. That was a radical action, right? Both of those actions were radical actions and in complete contradiction with each other. And the only move the Democrats would have had to fix that is say, look at what they did. That's unfair. They stole the Supreme Court. We're expanding the Supreme Court to make up for their unprecedented norm-breaking actions. But the Democrats just said, hopefully, if we win every election from here till Timbuktu, we'll get the Supreme Court back. So we don't need to do radical actions. And what is the result? The result is now that we have a 6-3 far-right Supreme Court. It's the same thing with gerrymandering. The Democrats had the opportunity to fix that, and they didn't. They respect norms too much. That's bullshit. No, they don't. The Democrats are perfectly happy to throw norms out of into the trash if a leftist wins. How often do you think the Democratic Party endorsed a write-in after someone lost the primary? But when a Democratic Socialist won the Democratic primary in Buffalo, suddenly the entire Democratic Party was comfortable throwing the norm of you have to go vote blue no matter who into the trash. Norms do not exist for the Democratic Party. They just use it. They say norms when what they really mean is their ideological goals being met. They know they can't win. If they came out and said, I'm going to be a centrist, they'd lose. In order for them to win, they need the left to believe that there's some sort of progress that's possible. They need to have their Sam Cedars saying, well, we have to do incremental progress. They need that. Without the Sam Cedars on their side, they can't ever win. And if they never win, they can't get any of that campaign money. Because a party that never wins is not worth giving money to. You don't see a lot of people setting $5 a month to the fucking Green Party. Now, do you? Politics is about power. If a party can't achieve power, then they're not useful for making money off of. So for this whole grift to keep running, they have to have a plausible path to power. And even now, like, that's the reality.
America.
Right.
Then you made an announcement yesterday that they will buy all of their goods from this country. Today, we learn the holdovers, since Maduro's gone, have agreed to free all of the political prisoners. It indicates they want peace with Donald Trump to me. How do you interpret it?
We asked them to do that, and they've been great. They really have been. I mean, everything we've wanted, they've given us. We went in, we took Maduro out. Amazingly, that nobody was killed. We didn't lose a soldier. We had some people wounded, but we didn't lose a soldier. A couple of very brave helicopter pilots were wounded pretty badly, but they're good. They're in good shape. And it was an amazing attack. The other side lost a lot of people, unfortunately. But, you know, this house was in the middle of a fort with thousands of people and soldiers and everything else. And we went right into the middle of a fort. Who would think you could do that and not lose anybody? But they had it planned so beautifully. General Raisin Kane and Pete Hegseth were fantastic. Marco's been doing a great job. Vice President. The whole group it's just a fantastic group.
Let's talk a little bit about, you make these decisions. I don't care if it's this case, Operation Midnight Hammer. In the one case, you're here in the White House in the Situation Room. You're watching this unfold in real time. In this case, you have operationally the same thing, a Situation Room down in Palm Beach at Mar-a-Lago. You make that ultimate call. You are the commander-in-chief. You're watching it unfold in real time. What is that like?
Well, I've done it now quite a bit. We took out Soleimani, which was a big deal. I mean, a very big Middle East. Very bad to people. Killed a lot of people. Everybody you see, just about 95% of the people you see walking around without legs or without arms. That was the roadside bomb. That was his baby. He loved it. We took him out. We took out al-Baghdadi. He's the founder of ISIS. We did Midnight Hammer, which was obliterate the Iran nuclear threat. And it was a total obliteration.
Under Trump, it increasingly looks like the future belongs to the United States. You have to be completely delusional to believe that. You have to actually be completely delusional. We are saying the Health and Human Services Secretary, they just got a guidance published that alcohol is good for you. I'm not even kidding.
As they found out, the B-2 bombers and the best pilots anywhere in the world. They did that at night with no moon.
Hold on, let me show you.
Totally dark, and every bomb went right down an air shaft deep into a granite mountain. It was amazing, and we did this, and there's similar in a way. I don't know. This seems to have gotten the imagination, maybe even more than the other ones. But I think they're very equal in many ways. But I don't know. You know, maybe taking out the nuclear threat from Iran is very important. But in terms of captivating attention, this seems to be something that beyond anything that anybody's seen.
Especially the operational details.
Well, the bravery involved, you know, I mean, to have people going into an army fort, thousands of soldiers, land a helicopter right in the middle of it, break down a steel door, because, you know, it was a fortified house, break down a steel door, run through the hallway shooting, and 10 minutes later with the guy who wasn't quite able to get into his safe house. You know, there's a safe.
I heard they got to him within 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes.
It was so fast. I mean, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And but the safe house wasn't safe because they had blowtorches that go through steel like it's butter. They didn't have to use them. But we have, these are great people. These are really brave people. Even coming down those ropes, you know, they're coming down ropes off the helicopter and they run them. I was thinking to myself, I wonder if I could do that. I'm going to have to give it a try sometime.
Here it is, chat. I found it finally. Sorry. Took me a second. Trump administration ditches advice to limit alcohol to 1 to 2 drinks per day. President Donald Trump's administration released new nutrition guidelines on Wednesday that abandoned long-standing U.S. recommendation that Americans restrict alcohol consumption to 2 beverages a day for men and 1 for women in favor of simply advising they consume less to be healthier. The change is a part of the new 2025 to 2030 dietary guidelines for Americans, the U.S. government's roadmap to healthy drinking and eating practices that influences medical advice, the composition of school lunches, and other policies. There is alcohol on the dietary guidelines, but the implication is don't have it for breakfast, said Mehmet Oz, a celebrity physician and Trump's administrator for the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services. In the best case scenario, I don't think you should drink alcohol, but it does allow people an excuse to bond and socialize, and there's probably nothing healthier than having a good time with friends in a safe way. Oz said there was never good data supporting that moderate drinking for men was 2 drinks a day and 1 for women. He added that in certain regions in Greece, Italy, and Japan, where people live longer, they drink very judiciously and usually in a celebratory fashion. Nonprofit advocacy groups such as the U.S. Alcohol Policy Alliance and the Center for Science and the Public Interest have said the move would hurt public health and could lead to heavier drinking as consumers define moderation themselves. Other health authorities, including the World Health Organization, have said even low levels of alcohol consumption could increase health risks, including certain cancers. In January 2025, before Trump began his second terms in office, that President Joe Biden Surgeon General Vivek Murthy called for cancer warning labels on alcoholic beverages, setting down shares of major spirit and beer producers like Diageo and Anheuser-Busch InBev. One study commissioned by health officials during Biden's presidency found that some health risks rise with as little as 1 drink per day. Another, commissioned by Congress and preferred by the alcohol industry, found moderate drinking is associated with lower risk of death from any cause. The future is American, though. Cope.
But they do it like it's a stairway, like it's a beautiful stairway, and they're on the ground instantly and they're ready for action. These are brave people. We have the greatest soldiers in the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world. Nobody can match us. I rebuilt the entire military during my first term.
Good thing you did.
Biden gave some of it away, a lot of it, but not a lot relative to what I bought. But he gave a big chunk to Afghanistan, which was just insane. That was one of the most embarrassing moments in the history of our country. This was the opposite. This was a total, if you think about Jimmy Carter with the hostages, or you think about the Afghanistan disaster that we had not so long ago with Biden, where it was just mass confusion and the death of 13 great soldiers who I got to know the families very well, great people, but also, and nobody talks about them, 48 people so badly injured and hundreds of people dead, hundreds of people. When those bombs were off, because I count the other side, but there were hundreds of people killed, all because of an incompetent group of politicians and generals and people that shouldn't be there.
Let's talk a little bit, maybe an underreported story. We know for a fact the Russians and the Chinese provided missile and ballistic missile systems. They did it to both. They helped Iran and they helped Venezuela. But you were able to dismantle that. You talk a lot about America. Okay,
a couple of things here. For a while, we've known that Venezuela's military has been collapsed, and they were not able to get spare parts. The systems were not on. The electrical grid was damaged during the attack. Venezuela, say what you will about Maduro, he was not a dictator, and he was not a military guy. Let's just be honest. He was a bus driver, and that's why he got attacked. Because if they were actually effective at running a military, they would not have attacked, because they would have gotten shot.
American military superiority. And then that goes into the issue that you raised this week of raising the budget for 2027 from $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion.
We need it. When you look at the threat out there, we have the best equipment in the world. We make the best equipment in the world. Mm-hmm. We make there's nothing even close. But we need it, because there are some real threats out there.
Well, I think we certainly do. Let me ask you about this. And I think this is important. With every military operation comes risk, and you have to obviously weigh that risk. And I think Americans would want to know what goes into your thinking, because there's a whole new military doctrine. I call it the Trump doctrine. I think it's widely misunderstood. No forever wars. However, that doesn't mean you don't use the might and power of the U.S. military. You mentioned Baghdadi, Soleimani. They had the mother of all bombs in Afghanistan, right. The ISIS caliphate, and then taking out Iran's nuclear weapon sites. And now our hemisphere. Right. Are you calling it the Monroe Doctrine?
Well, they call it the Monroe. I didn't call it that, but they're calling it's the Monroe Doctrine. Now they call it the Monroe, which is basically safety for this part of the world. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. We don't want drugs pouring into our country. We don't want bad people coming into our country like.
As I talked about before, the drug war in America comes from the CIA. The CIA is what brings drugs. The CIA is what protects the biggest drug traffickers and has for decades and decades and decades and decades. Whether it was the KMT in the Golden Triangle, or it was our allied pedophile warlords in Afghanistan, or it was Turkey, we have consistently supported heroin and opioid production. Whether it was the British Empire producing it through slave plantations based in India, when America joined Britain in attacking China to force them to take in opioids. And when the Communist Party in China took power, one of the first things they did is a nationwide drug treatment program that helped 400,000 people quit heroin and opioid addiction. Like, that's reality.
Happened for 4 years under Biden. It was a disgrace. Worst president in the history of our country. Horrible. We had some other bad ones. Let me tell you, Obama was a terrible president. The divisiveness and the hatred that was caused, and many of the people allowed into the country. But what Biden did was a step beyond anything that anybody's ever done, where you had millions of people pouring through the border. Now we have nobody coming in unless they come in legally.
Let's talk about, you said for the interim, you will be in charge. Okay. Obviously, the remaining leadership underneath Maduro, they've made, I mentioned earlier, 3 major concessions, 30 to 50 million barrels of oil. They're going to buy and purchase all their goods from America. Now they're releasing political prisoners. Okay, what is your ultimate goal for the governance of Venezuela?
Prisoners that nobody thought they would ever see again are being released, yeah. And in many cases, good people is what I understand. But prisoners, nobody ever thought they'd be released. So we're going to be working with them and leadership of the country. And so far, we've been working very well. You know, we picked up the Russian freighter that trudged out there.
I want to ask you about that.
Well, they had some Russian ships guarding it, and they decided not to mess around with us. And we took that one. That's unloading the oil. But we're taking billions and billions of dollars worth of oil, and it'll be hundreds of billions of dollars. It'll be trillions of dollars. But we're going to be there till we straighten out the country. We'll see how the country's doing. But we'll be running the oil. We're meeting tomorrow with all of the big oil executives. We're going to be right here in the White House. We're going to meet with the biggest oil people in the world. They're all coming here. The top 14 companies are coming here. They're going to go in. They're going to rebuild the whole oil infrastructure. They're going to spend at least $100 billion. And it's an unbelievable oil that they have and an unbelievable quality of oil and amount of oil.
When they nationalized the oil industry in Venezuela, going back to the 1920s, American companies had invested billions.
We built it. Yeah.
All of it.
And then it was taken away from us.
Stolen.
I think one of the things that I would say is it's just like putting a straw into a swimming pool and saying you own the swimming pool. That's the equivalent.
It was stolen from us, and it was taken away, years ago over a period of time, but it was taken away in the early 2000s, even beyond that, but the early 2000s, and I just took it back.
I can't imagine them being able to, they have the largest oil reserves in the world. I can't imagine without American investment, ingenuity, engineering, and our assistance that they would ever be able to tap into the vast resources that they have. Again, the largest in the entire world. So that will be a big part of it. What does that mean in terms of America's new partnership with Venezuela?
Well, it means lower oil prices all over the world, which is great for everybody. It means
Open Presents, thanks for the 25 gifty. Appreciate you.
It's lower oil prices for America, which I have it down. Don't forget, I inherited a mess. I inherited
Venezuela does not have the largest oil reserves. Okay, I'm going to have this conversation once. It's not going to stick. Resources, that is a term that has a lot less meaning than people think it does. All right? The amount of resources that we have on planet Earth are mind-numbing and staggering. The question is, what is economical? Meaning, what can we extract while also making money in the course of the extraction? If you're just talking about the existence of resources, our planet is unbelievably abundant in all areas. All right? The real question is whether it's economical to extract. Is economical to extract changes over the fluctuations of the market. Part of what makes the markets the market is if you're paying $50 per barrel of oil, then most of the Venezuelan oil is probably not profitable to extract. If you're paying $150 a barrel of oil, then it's all probably profitable to extract. Does that make sense? So when we're talking about reserves, what we're talking about are oil that is known about, that's number one, and two, can be extracted within a range of profitability, that there is a strong probability that these oil resources will become profitable in the immediate medium term. Okay. Chavo and Maduro made up the figures for provable oil reserves. That's what all this is based on. Yes, I know. That's my point. That is exactly my point. And there is a distinction between the different types of reserves. All this is to say is that I'll give you another analogy that'll make this make sense. There actually hasn't been that much gold ever mined in the history of humanity. I once heard that all the gold ever mined could fit in, like, how much gold has ever been mined. Here you go. Here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. This is a fun little graphic, a visualizer. I
talk about affordability. There was no affordability under Biden.
I once heard that it could all fit in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. This is all the gold the world has ever mined. 216,000 tons. Reserves that are in the portion of an ore deposit that could be economically extracted are 64,000 tons in current mines that are economical. Gold, there's not been a lot of gold mined in human history. Okay? I bring this to you to say there are asteroids that are floating around our solar system that have more gold, more silver, more platinum than we have ever mined. They're just huge chunks of these resources just floating around in space. And you could say that is $30 trillion worth of platinum, right, in that asteroid. But the answer is no, it's not. Because let's say that we flew a spaceship out there, we grabbed that asteroid, we brought it back to Earth, landed it in the middle of Pennsylvania, right next to a railroad hub. The value of platinum crash to basically nothing. The exact same thing happened to aluminum. Aluminum was basically aluminum was extremely rare. It existed in a few places in what we call native aluminum, where there would just be a hunk of pure aluminum in an ore. And that was crazy. And it was very rare. Most of the aluminum you see comes from bauxite. The problem is, in order to separate the aluminum from bauxite, you need electrolysis, meaning you need an electric current, and then you can extract the aluminum from bauxite easily. So when we developed bauxite mining of aluminum, the value of aluminum went from it's even more precious than gold to now you have Coke cans made out of it. It basically became commonplace and worthless. The same thing could happen to these precious metals if we ever were able to grab a bunch of asteroids and bring them to Earth, right? In fact, most people say that you could fund these. You could presumably fund your gold mining company by buying puts on gold and then going and grabbing it and watching Wall Street crash the value of gold, and then you would make profit from your puts. Anyway, long story short, when we're talking about these resources, we're talking about them within the context of current conditions and economics, not how abundant or non-abundant they actually are. And capitalists don't think, they think like this.
Inflation in history, the highest and worst inflation in history. Prices were through the roof, and I'm fixing it. I inherited a mess. I say it all the time. I inherited, because people don't understand, I inherited a mess. Open borders, millions of people in this country that shouldn't.
I mean, look at diamonds, right? Like, diamonds are super abundant, but we have a cartel that's propping it up. And then we invented a way of basically creating flawless diamonds. And what do? We start going, well, those are lab diamonds. These are natural diamonds, which is just fucking marketing, right? That's just marketing. Who gives a shit? Everything's natural if it's created in the universe. It's part of the universe. It's natural. Who gives a fuck? What are you talking about? I'm sure they would do the same thing with gold. Oh, this is earth gold. Ew, you have celestial gold? Ew, this is earth gold. This is artisanal gold mined by a slave. Mike, 2024, Mike vindicated? Oh, wait, was I right about something else?
May have started to fall in 2025. But is this the beginning of a global decline in fossil fuel use? Although the Chinese government had set 2030 as its target date to see its emissions start to decline, some experts think that mark may now have been hit 5 years early, and that is even with demand for electricity continuing to grow in the communist superpower. Offsetting the rise in energy consumption has been an astonishing increase in the installation of solar power. In the first half of 2025, solar power...
Okay, I need to back this up and talk about this
in the
for
first
a second.
half of 2025. Astonishing.
Because there's a lot of Reddit brains who don't know. These mountains were arid mountains. Treeless, arid mountains. And the solar panels were installed on these desert mountains, these arid mountains, and because they were already cleared. And because of the solar panels, there has been a decrease in the solar energy that's hitting the mountains, and they've been providing shade. So the solar panels provide shade, which ironically is now greening these mountains underneath the panels because it lowers evaporation of the water that does exist, and it's leading to the greening of the mountains underneath the panels. So these used to be arid mountains, and they're becoming greened by the shade of the solar panels. But a lot of Redditors look at this and go, oh my God, I can't believe this looks terrible. The communists are just clear cutting everything to install panels. No, these mountains were specifically selected because they were arid and already cleared of vegetation. So it was easy to install them. And they got a lot of light. Some Redditors see it. The death of the U.S. desert, China's reforestation, afforestation campaigns have wiped it off the map. Oh yeah. They phrased this like it was some sort of evil thing. It is a satirical homage to BBC and CNN and all the other Western media's habit of phrasing all Chinese development and progress as a bad thing, such as a recent publication about China's pollution control resulted in more global warming. Anyway, sorry.
Increase in the installation of solar power. In the first half of 2025, solar power capacity additions were equivalent to 100 solar panels being installed per second. And in just 9 months, China installed more sustainable energy than the entirety of all the solar ever installed by the United States, up 50% year on year. If it turns out China's emissions are in decline, other nations are likely to follow suit, making it easier.
Why? The nations that are following suit are the nations that have free trade with China because they're buying solar panels because they're cheap. So Chinese solar panels and Chinese batteries are getting so cheap that the middle classes and are in developing countries and middle income countries are starting to buy them because they are more reliable than their terrible, inefficient energy grids. So there's been a decentralization of electrical generation of the global south provided by China. And that is actually increasing the reliability of the larger energy grids because there's less demand surges on the energy grids in places like Pakistan. So Pakistan is solving its energy grid crisis because so many people are installing decentralized solar panels and off-grid battery-backed solar generation. It's actually helping a lot of countries climb out of the problem of having an unreliable energy grid.
For climate targets to be met. But there are still risks, and it is unlikely, say the experts, that a peak is going to be followed by sudden or steep declines, and there's still plenty of geopolitical and consumer uncertainties before a long-term decline can be confirmed. China's carbon emissions may have started.
The truth is that China's doing it, but we've got to invent conspiratorial brain rot about how China bad. One of the things that's really interesting in this video is he didn't discuss how America is a rogue state that is saying we want to bring back coal power to fund our AI infrastructure. Why are you Europeans doing propaganda for America?
Moving them out pretty rapidly too. Murderers and drug dealers and just some of the worst people in the world came in, not only from Venezuela, from all over the Congo. The Congo sent us tremendous numbers of people. I don't know what it is with the Congo. They open their jails and they walk into our country. They drive them up to our front entrance. They get out and they walk right into our country. And these are tough, hardened criminals. These are real criminals, and from many countries. I mean, they came from Africa. They came from the Middle East. They came from South America, but a lot came from Venezuela. He opened his prisons and sent all of the people from his prison sent to the United States. Why not? I do the same thing about it. You take the people, they're nothing but trouble for you, and they're killers, and they're the worst people that you can imagine. I mean, some of the crimes are so bad you wouldn't believe it. We just accepted them into our country. Nobody did anything about it. So we're getting them out. Washington, D.C., as an example, was very dangerous, and now it's very safe. I mean, everybody's coming to Washington. It's a very safe city now, and before, when I took over, it was really a danger. It got really bad. We had it pretty good, but it wasn't really a focus because you didn't hear the level of danger until my second term. My first term, we watched Washington, but it wasn't like it was the big deal. Now, all of a sudden, when I came here, I was hearing stories about the kind of crime that they had here. People come in from Iowa and from Indiana and great places, and they end up calling the parents that your son has been killed. Doesn't happen anymore. We have a very safe, Washington, D.C. is a very safe city. We put our National Guard there. They're all central casting. You take a look at these guys, it's great. We won the case on merit, based on merit from the Supreme Court, a great victory, a courageous victory, actually, but this country is now based on merit again.
Let me ask you about Maria Corina Machado. I've had her on TV this week.
Yeah, she's a very nice person.
Okay, she won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes.
When she accepted that Peace Prize, she dedicated it to you. She said to me this week, both on TV and radio, that she wants to give the Nobel Prize, her Nobel Peace Prize, to you for liberating her country. In 2023, she won over 92% of the vote to be the leader of the opposition. Maduro kept her off the ballot. Do you have any plans to meet with her? And would you accept the Nobel Prize she wants to hand to you?
Well, I understand she's coming in next week sometime. And I look forward to saying hello to her. And I've heard that she wants to do that. That would be a great honor. I did put out 8 wars, 8 and a quarter, because, you know, Thailand and Cambodia started going at it again. So
I'll put the list up.
I give a
if you
quarter,
want.
so it's
Yeah.
you put the list out. It's a hell of a list. But I've stopped 8 wars.
I sent a link for a short about Pakistan electricity overcapacity. Are you trolling right now? Like, what's going on?
And I think, it's been a major embarrassment to Norway. Now, I don't know what Norway has to do with it, but that's where the committee is located, a lot of Norwegian people. And it's been a very big embarrassment to the...
Okay, this Fox News tab is crashing. Did I not say this is the worst video player on the entire internet? Jesus Christ. Trump is mad he didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize, and so he's not going to install America's puppet to lead Venezuela. What a complete fucking moron. Okay, what were we talking about? Oh, okay. Donald Trump. Okay, let's read this, because honestly, listening to Donald, he's such a rambler now. He's like so boring. Trump lays out a vision of power restrained only by my own morality. On topic after topic, President Trump made clear that he would be the arbiter of any limits to his authorities, not international law or treaties.
Trump lays out a vision of power.
Why is this AI? You have 4 reporters on it. Nobody can voice this? Like, come on. President Trump declared on Wednesday evening by his own power as commander-in-chief is constrained only by his own morality, while brushing aside international law and other checks on his ability to use military might to strike, invade, or coerce nations around the world. Asked in a wide-ranging interview with the New York Times if there were any limits on his global powers, Mr. Trump said, "Yeah, there is one thing, my own morality, my own mind. It's the only thing that can stop me. I don't need international law," he added. "I'm not looking to hurt people." When pressed further about whether his administration needed to abide by international law, Trump said, "I do," but he made clear he would be the arbiter of when such constraints applied to the United States. "It depends what your definition of international law is," he said. Mr. Trump's assessment of his own freedom to use any instrument of military, economic, or political power to cement American supremacy was the most blunt acknowledgement yet of his worldview. At its core is the concept that national strength, rather than laws, treaties, and conventions, should be the deciding factor as powers collide. He did acknowledge some constraints at home, even as he has pursued a maximalist strategy of punishing institutions he dislikes, exacting retribution against political opponents, and deploying the National Guard to cities over the objections of state and local officials. He has made clear that he uses his reputation for unpredictability and a willingness to resort quickly to military action, often in service of coercing other nations. During his interview with The Times, he took a lengthy call from President Gustavo Petro of Colombia, who was clearly concerned over the repeated threats that Trump was thinking of an attack on the country similar to the one on Venezuela. Well, we are in danger, Mr. Petro said in an interview with the Times was just before the call, because the threat is real. It was made by Trump. The call between the two leaders, the contents of which are off the record, was an example of coercive diplomacy in action, and it came just hours after Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio had extracted the United States from dozens of international organizations intended to foster multinational cooperation. In his conversation with the Times, Trump sounded more emboldened than ever. He cited the success of his strike on Iran's nuclear program. He keeps a model of the B-2 bomber used in the mission on his desk. The speed with which he decapitated the Venezuelan government last weekend, and his designs on Greenland, which is controlled by Denmark, a NATO ally. When asked what was his higher priority, obtaining Greenland or preserving NATO, Mr. Trump declined to answer directly, but he acknowledged it may be a choice. He made clear that the transatlantic alliance was essentially useless without the United States at its core. I mean, he's right. So what Donald Trump is basically saying is Greenland worth losing NATO? Now, I don't know about you, chat, but Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and Finland are not going to say yes. They're going to say, give up Greenland, give up Greenland. It's just Greenland. Because if Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, and Finland lose the umbrella of American protection, there could easily be a Russian intervention. And if there's any countries in the world where Russian intervention could be seen as justifiable, it would be Lithuania, where hundreds of thousands of people of Russian ethnicity are denied citizenship and are stateless because of their ethnicity. Something that people don't know about, apparently, but there are hundreds of thousands of stateless people in Lithuania who are denied rights because of their nationality. It's also true in other, I think, is it one of them, or is it Lithuania that made them citizens? Okay, which one is it? Stateless people in Lithuania. Misspelled Lithuania. Yeah, here you go. I told you. Okay, Lithuania only has 2,000. Who has it? Who's the one with the most? Is it Estonia? Oh yeah, there you go. EU's double standard. Estonia's stateless Russians and the limit of European liberalism. There you go. It was Estonia. Sorry. Lithuania has mostly gotten rid of this, but it's Estonia. 5% of Estonia's population remains stateless. Most of these individuals are ethnic Russians. Estonia has yet to comply with many international requirements regarding statelessness, leaving the country with the 10th largest stateless population in the world, despite having a population of just less than 1.4 million. Not only that, chat, they actually, in order to become an Estonian citizen, you have to swear that the Nazis are just as bad as the Soviet Union. Like, the Soviet Union is just as bad as the Nazis. This is literally true. These are our allies, by the way. Again, this is the type of stuff that you know, no one knows about because you're not told about it, but it is reality and open. It's not a big secret. So Estonia needs NATO because they're worried they might get invaded because they have so many Russians who have no rights. Do you know why there are Russian people in the Baltic states? Why are there white Americans in Texas? Why are there white people in Arizona? Why are there white people in New Mexico? Now, the difference between the two is that the Estonians, they were Nazi collaborators who did the Holocaust. In fact, Estonia was the most effective country in killing all Jews, even more effective than Germany itself. So they were invaded and liberated by the Soviet Union in World War II. It's a small Chinese colonial island making shitty shoes for the world. You hate your own identity so much that you do your best to LARP as European slaves, Slavs.
It's the small Chinese colonial island making shitty shoes for the world. You hate your own identity so much that you do your best to LARP as in European Slavs.
The Republic of Indonesia is made up of tens of thousands of islands, hundreds of cultures and languages. The Estonia is made up of meat and onion slop-eating Hungarians who polished the coats of German horses for 1,000 years before being elevated to sapiens by the USSR.
Forever Lumao wing at the fact you're Indonesian. Ha 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 ha.
Laugh it up, you ugly Hungarian macaque. Your destiny is to be obliterated into nothing by a Chinese dumping missile.
Will Estonia ever recover from this?
God, I hope not.
Wow Mao with yet another banger. How am I not subscribed to Wow Mao? The fuck? Anyway, what was I saying? Donald Trump. Even as he characterized what I was saying is, don't worry, the Estonians are going to pressure Denmark to give up Greenland. You know what I mean? Like, they need NATO. They're also some of the most extreme anti-Russians. So they'll be like, we should nuke Moscow. Obviously, they're going to pressure Denmark to give up Greenland over losing the United States. Because if NATO collapses, no European defense organization is going to include the Baltic states. Poland and Hungary will be lucky to get in. Even as he characterized the norms of the post-World War II order as unnecessary burdens on a superpower, Mr. Trump was dismissive of the idea that the leader of China, Xi Jinping, or President Vladimir Putin of Russia could use similar logic to the detriment of the United States. On topic after topic, he made clear that in his mind, U.S. power is the determining factor, and that previous presidents have been too cautious to make use of it for political supremacy or national profit. The president's insistence that Greenland must become part of the United States was a prime example of his worldview. It was not enough to exercise the U.S. right under a 1951 treaty to reopen long-closed military bases on the huge landmass, which is strategically important crossroads for U.S., European, Chinese, and Russian naval operations. Ownership is very important, Mr. Trump said as he discussed with the real estate mogul's eye, the landmass of Greenland, 3 times the size of Texas, but with a population less than 60,000. He seemed to dismiss the value of having Greenland under control of a close NATO ally. When asked why he needed to possess the territory, he said, because that's what I feel is psychologically needed for success. I think ownership gives you a thing that you can't do, whether you're talking about a lease or a treaty. Ownership gives you things and elements that you can't get from just signing a document. Conversation made clear that in Mr. Trump's view, sovereignty and national borders are less important than the singular role the United States plays as protector of the West.
Do you see any checks on your power on the world stage? Is there anything that could stop you if you wanted to?
Yeah, there's one thing. My own morality, my own mind. It's the only thing that can stop.
Not international
and that's
law.
I don't need international law. I'm not looking to hurt people.
Do you feel your administration needs to abide by international law on the global stage?
Yeah, I do. I do. But it depends what your definition of international law is. You mean in Greenland?
In Greenland,
that's because you needed them at the time.
In the 1951 agreement, though, it says the United States can reopen these bases.
By the way, chat, it's so funny how Greenland was already an American vassal. And Trump is like, yeah, being a vassal isn't enough. I want to annex it. It's like when you have a subject in Paradox games and you're just like, all right, well, I don't need you to be a subject anymore. I've got enough administrative capacity. It's time for me to annex you. And the Europeans are standing there like slack-jawed, like, wait a minute, what do you mean we're American puppets? What do you mean we don't have our own sovereignty? And the entire European political class is gulping, going, the fiction that we were independent countries is coming to an end. Uh-oh. And Europeans don't even get mad about it. You know who they get mad at? Me by just saying it. I'll say it and Europeans will be like, you American supremacist, blah, blah, blah. I was making fun of a Ukrainian because they were arguing that, Americans deserve to suffer for Trump. And I was like, I've been trying to tell you that you cannot trust American power and that aligning yourself with the West, foolhardy. Ukraine is basically annihilated, by the way. Ukraine is cooked. Have you guys seen a Ukrainian demographic pyramid? It's not a pyramid. Are you ready? Ukraine's population pyramid. You see this thick part where people are like 40, 45? These are the people the last people born under the USSR. I want you to understand something, that this is the annihilation of Ukraine as a culture, as a nationality. It's gone. And this is a 2-year-old one. Allying with the United States and the fall of the Soviet Union has annihilated Ukraine as an idea. Look at the female surplus. That Ukrainian was posting from the UK. Yeah, I know. No shit. That was my point. You sound happy. Huh? I argued against this. I said this would happen. I was there saying, no, we should have a treaty. No, the United States should not interfere in Ukraine. No, the United States should not hold over Ukraine. The idea they're going to join NATO, it's not going to happen. It's a lie. They're going to abandon Ukraine. It's going to destroy the country. The war would be a disaster. The United States always does this. It's doing it in Syria right now to the Kurds. I didn't even talk about that story yet. Another story that exists out there that just absolutely just makes me disgusted and hurts my heart. Ukraine is making great progress in the war in the last few months. Oh, they're not. What percentage of Abrams tanks in Ukraine have been disabled or destroyed? Just 4 Abrams tanks left. How Russia wiped out 87% of Ukraine's U.S. supplied fleet. That was from June. I thought the Western tanks were gonna fucking roll through, or whatever the fuck lie people told you. Notice that these stories don't get reported in the Western press. And all the liberals that were cheering and yelping and screaming in favor of the Ukrainian war, now that the Ukrainians have been utterly destroyed, they've abandoned it. They don't even talk about it anymore. It may be dangerous to be America's enemy, but to be America's ally is fatal. They're talking about what's happening in Venezuela. They kidnapped one guy. No, you just don't read about actual war efforts. It's you. You abandoned Ukraine. What the fuck are you talking about? That's why I know these facts. What do you want me to say? I was right every day? Like, what the fuck do you want me to do? Just look at the shit and go, well, I was right about that, and close the fucking tab? Send more tanks to get blown up. This is what a Ukrainian frontline village looks like. Do you guys see this? You know what it looks like you see how it looks like spider webs? Do you know what that is? These are all the fiber optic cable, because in order for drains to get around the jamming technology, they're all connected to the fiber optic cables. And there's now so many fiber optic cables from all the drones. Hey, Mike, I think Ukrainians might be getting angry because there's a little empathy in your tone and it's angry when your country is suffering. I don't know. I feel the same when people talk about Georgia. No hate, though. I definitely agree with what you're saying. I'm saying it in a way that doesn't get said. And my tone is intentionally selected because I want people to feel anger. So this sears into their fucking brain. Because later, when they think back on it, they're not going to forget this conversation. They're not going to forget that America and the false promises of the liberal media that the Ukraine was going to march into Moscow and overthrow Putin and all this other nonsense. Instead, we should have done diplomacy. Instead, we should have enforced the Minsk agreements. Instead, we have stopped sending the CIA in to fight proxy wars. And then Pikachu face when Russia invades. Balkanized Russia was the plan. Well, it didn't work, and Ukraine was sacrificed. And you know what Americans say? We killed hundreds of thousands of Russians. Ukrainians are seen as nothing but cannon fodder by the American elite. Their humanity is not a question. And the Ukrainian nation is now in debt, demolished, 25% of its territory occupied, its population, refugees spread all across the world. That was the benefit of allying with the United States of America.
Anytime you want, you could send as many troops, and you haven't done it.
Because I want to do it properly.
And properly means own it?
Really, it is. To me, it's ownership. Ownership is very important.
Why is ownership important here?
Because that's what I feel is psychologically needed for success. I think that ownership gives you a thing that you can't do, whether you're talking about a lease or a treaty. Ownership gives you things and elements that you can't get from just signing a document.
Allying with Russia would have been worse. Ukraine's population at independence was around 52 million people. Fertility rate was 1.84 per woman. Median age was 33. It had 1% of the share of the world's population. Now the median age is 42. The fertility rate is 1, and they have 0.47% of the population. The density of the population used to be 90 people per square kilometer. It's down to 67, literally being depopulated. I guess it's better. I want them to shape up, he said. I think we'll always get along with Europe, but I want them to shape up. I'm the one that got them to spend more, more GDP on NATO. But if you look at NATO, Russia, I can tell you, is not at all concerned with any other country but us. The president added, I've been very loyal to Europe. I've done a good job. If it weren't for me, Russia would have all Ukraine right now. He seemed unconcerned that the last major nuclear arms control agreement with Russia was set to expire in 4 weeks, leaving the world's 2 largest nuclear powers free to expand their arsenals without limit for the first time in half a century. If it expires, it expires, he said. We'll just do a better agreement. He added, insisting that China, which has the fastest growing arsenal in the world, should be incorporated into any future agreement. You probably want to get a couple of other players involved also, Trump said. The president seemed equally sanguine about whether his decision to send special operation forces into Caracas to remove Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela will be exploited by China or Russia. In the days since the action in Venezuela, there have been arguments that the U.S. president would help justify a Chinese effort to take Taiwan Russia's attempt to seize Ukraine, which Mr. Putin has described as a historical part of the Russian Empire dating back more than a dozen centuries. Asked whether he had created a precedent that he may later regret, Trump argued that his view of the threat posed by Mr. Maduro's Venezuela was quite different than Mr. Xi's view of Taiwan. This was a real threat, he said of Venezuela. You don't have people pouring into China, he argued, repeating his oft-made claim that Mr. Maduro dumped gang members into the United States. Mr. Trump added, you didn't have drugs pouring into China. You didn't have all the bad things that we've had. You didn't have the jails of Taiwan opened up and people pouring into China, or, he said later, criminals and others pouring into Russia. When a reporter noted that Mr. Xi regarded Taiwan as a separatist threat to China, Mr. Trump said it's up to him what he's going to be doing. But, you know, I've expressed to him that I would be very unhappy if he did that, and I don't think he'll do that. I hope he doesn't. Then, asked whether Mr. Xi might seize on recent events to attack or choke off Taiwan, he suggested that the Chinese leader would not dare take that step while Mr. Trump was in office. He may do it after we have a different president, but I don't think he's going to do it with me as president, he said.
And you've watched the events of the past few days. You probably are deeply impressed with how the special operators ran.
He was impressed.
You may also be thinking that if you're Xi, that you could use the same logic to decapitate and control Taiwan. Or why couldn't Putin use that argument, same argument, it's a threat, to grab the rest of Ukraine or go beyond into other former Soviet states? In other words, have you created a precedent that you may come to regret later on?
No, because this was a real threat. You didn't have people pouring into China. You didn't have drugs pouring into China. You didn't have all of the bad things that we've had. You didn't have the jails of Taiwan opened up and the people pouring into China. There aren't that many people in the jails. But you didn't have hundreds of thousands of people coming from jails and mental institutions.
But she
pouring
regards
into China
Taiwan as a separatist
or pouring
threat.
into Russia.
She would tell you Taiwan's a threat to China, that it's a separatist operation.
It's a source of pride for him. He considers it to be a part of China. And that's up to him what he's going to be doing. But, you know, I've expressed to him that I would be very unhappy if he did that. And I don't think he'll do that. I hope he doesn't do that.
So you don't think you've set a precedent with other countries?
He may do it after we have a different president, but I don't think he's going to do it with me as president.
So supposing
even Trump accepts there'll be a period when he's finally gone. You know, ultimately, I think the best result would be for the United States of America and Taiwan to effectuate a treaty where Taiwan returns to China in the same way that Hong Kong did. Like, you know, my life didn't change when Taiwan got handed back from the UK to the Chinese. Like, there was no big, my life didn't suddenly have some big perturbation. Just have Taiwan join under the two systems, one country treaty that Hong Kong has, and just move on. Who gives a fuck? And we should reunite North and South Korea, and we should pull our troops out. And then what fucking wars are we? And that removes most of the major threats of wars in the world. What are we doing here? Why are you making decisions on behalf of other countries? That's exactly the kind of US-centric mentality that got us to where we're there today. Are you fucking stupid? Taiwan exists because the United States Navy sailed in the Taiwan Strait and pointed guns at the Chinese and said, you can't invade Taiwan. The United States of America recognized Taiwan as the legitimate government of China for 25 years. What do you mean the US? Oh, why are you interfering with the US? Because Taiwan's very existence is an interference. South Korea's very existence is an interference. What are you talking about? And even the United States of America does not see Taiwan as a country. It's a one China policy. That's the official position of the American government. There is only one China, called the People's Republic of China. Taiwanese, I disagree. One country, two states will work. Taiwan has too many separatists and colonized mindset Japanese puppets. Peaceful handover would only endanger China as a whole. I'm pretty sure that's going to change. I'm going to give this is the most wild Mike from PA prediction, but I'm going to make it. The support for reunification in Taiwan will increase as the wealth and power of China continues to increase. And a lot of people are going to say, I've got family, I've got connections in China. You know, ultimately China is the future. Attitudes will shift. And the bonds of blood, the bonds of affection will rise as America falters, as America becomes more belligerent, as Taiwanese people recognize what happened in Ukraine. When you're a sacrificed people to be when you're the cannon fodder for America to damage some world rival, it's not very good for you. I think a lot of Taiwanese people are going to start shifting their attitudes, and their Chinese pride is going to reassert itself, and they're going to be like, you know what? We should be part of the greatest country in the world, not a part of it. We should reunify. It's going to happen with Chinese soft power. It's not even going to require an invasion. It'll happen over time. So it is what it is. Okay, but we would absolutely fight a direct war over Taiwan. No, we fucking wouldn't. In fact, the Chinese have just developed a new amphibious assault ship that is better than anything the United States has, called the Type 76 ship. China's new Type 76 supersized amphibious assault ship. This has an electromagnetic catapult. It carries 1,000 equipped Marines. It can handle fixed wing aircraft, fixed wing drones, helicopter. We don't have anything this good. Our amphibious assault ships cannot compare to this. This is the most advanced amphibious assault craft in the world. It has a catapult. It has an electromagnetic catapult. I would say this is best described as a light carrier. It's still termed an amphibious assault ship because it contains a dock, an amphibious dock, which are really cool. See the back? This is a dock. So this is, the United States has a lot of amphibious assault ships, but none like this. This is the most advanced one in the world. And China has 200 times the shipbuilding capacity. They launched this last year and a full-size new fleet carrier. And I think they're developing 2 more nuclear powered carriers. They launched, I want to explain something to you. The world's military power is shifting against the United States at an unprecedented rate, and I don't think people are really aware of this. Keep watching this while I'm trying to find some way to show it to you. There's got to be someone who made a video on this. Oh my god, the Mega Projects guy made a video on this ship? Oh my god, it's 29 minutes long?
Good day. Welcome to the Sea Power.
At a glance, Sichuan could pass for a small carrier, but she isn't. Yeah, she's got a flat top, a catapult for launching aircraft, and a couple of towers, but she is no carrier. She's an amphibious assault vessel, a very different type of ship indeed, one designed not to contest airspaces, but beaches. And there's more too, because she isn't just any amphibious assault vessel, she's a totally new spin on the concept, a full rewiring of what the term even means and represents. Because whereas most such ships strike a careful blend between Marines, launchers, and helicopters to get them ashore, Sichuan, the first Type 076 class, has her Marines, helicopters, and launchers, yes, but then throws a new ingredient heavily into the mix. Drones. Really big ones. The kind that need catapults to get into the sky. Is she any good? Well, that's a question to which the answer is we don't know. She was only launched in December 2024, and we still only have speculative dates for her final commissioning. But here's what we do know. Today's episode of Mega Projects is brought to you by the good people.
Okay, so there's a difference between a ship being launched and a ship being commissioned. A ship is commissioned when the host navy formally accepts that it is up to the standards of the contract and it is being admitted into actual service with the navy. So a ship is constructed and then it's launched into the water, and then it does shakeout cruises and they make sure that everything's working, and then it gets formally commissioned, and then it becomes part of the active military. Does that make sense? So it was commissioned last year. I'm looking for a video. I'm sure one exists. This is the type of video that definitely exists. Hold on. I'm trying to find a video of all the stuff. This is too long. I don't know that I want to watch it. I'm just trying to make a point.
Over at Vessi, look, Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals are everywhere, most of them.
Oh no.
from 071 to 076. Okay, so if you want to understand why China's new Type 076 exists at all, and given that you clicked on this video, we're going to assume that you do, you need to wind the clock back 2 decades.
Holy shit, it's 24 minutes.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Some PLA OSINT. This is a year-end PLA Navy shipbuilding special, where we have a look at the new combat ships that have joined the ranks of the PLA Navy over the course of 2020. I will further put the situation into perspective by comparing
Don't you think China's current strategy of making diplomatic critiques in defense of Venezuela's sovereignty as their strategy to counter the U.S. aggression attempts to isolate China is naive and could backfire? The reality is China is not a country that has a foreign military strategy of aggression and occupation. So they are literally having to catch up. They're realizing that the United States is aggressive and hostile, so they have to catch up first. And they're trying to avoid being isolated by being looked at as aggressive and imperialist. In order to contest the United States, they have to actually have the resources to contest the United States. Right now, they can defend themselves, but they can't project power against the United States in Latin America. Do you understand how difficult that would be? Philadelphia is threatening to arrest ICE. Philadelphia sheriffs stand against ICE after Minneapolis woman fatally shot, making it clear they don't want this smoke.
The DA, and we will work with them. If any of them want to come in this city and commit a crime, you will not be able to hide. Nobody will whisk you off. You don't want this smoke, because we will bring it to you. So I'm with the DA.
Oh, no. Philadelphia is interesting because they've had a far left Soros DA. I'm quoting liberals. Far left Soros DA, and the murder rate is crashing.
Law enforcement agent, any ICE agent is going to come to Philly to commit crimes, then you can get the F out of here. Because if you do that here, I will charge you with those crimes. You will be arrested. You will stand trial. You will be convicted. Whether it's in state or federal court, it's my office prosecuting it. That's how the law works. And you will do your time because Donald Trump cannot pardon you for a state court conviction. Do you hear me, ICE agents? Do you hear me, National Guard? Do you hear me, military? You're going to jail if you commit crimes in the city of Philadelphia. You will be accountable. The law applies to all of you. And I know that there are honest, decent, moral law enforcement officers out there by the bushel, including in ICE. This is not for you. This is for any one of your colleagues who thinks they are above the law.
Boo, there isn't. Abolish ICE. If you join ICE, you joined it because you're a scumbag. There's really, I mean, if you want it, like, there's a million different forces you could join. If you join ICE, it's because you're a scumbag racist. No one else is motivated.
If any.
So I would want China to take a more aggressive position in the global stage opposing the US. But the question you have to ask is, it's a bluff. And China doesn't believe in bluffing, right? For the longest time, their words didn't have a lot of weight because they didn't have the ability to punch. We're not going to watch this video. Oh, okay, good. Awesome. All right. Okay, here we go. This is a good summary.
the city of Ordos and the sailor station on the PLA Navy Ordos. From what we know about the PLA Navy's naming convention, the ship Ordos is likely to be a frigate, so another Type 054A. A summary of what we have talked about so far: 7 Type 052D destroyers, 2 054B frigates, and 4 054A frigates, with 64 large VLS cells on each destroyer and 32 Mark 41 equivalent cells on each frigate. We are looking at a total of 640 VLS cells commissioned.
A VLS cell is vertical launch, right? So it's for missiles and rockets that launch vertically and then go and do shit. So like an anti-ship missile. So this is how a lot of people are describing naval power in the 21st century. How many missiles are the ships bringing to the fight?
25 alone.
Better
and that
vid,
number
hold on.
is at the same level of the total VLS cell count of the entire French and Italian navies. Is it the final tally for the PLA Navy in 2025? not necessary. The year is still not finished, and we might see reports or official news releases about additional commissionings happening. For example, the first ship of the second batch of the Type 055 large destroyer or cruiser may have already quietly commissioned. This image was taken in June 2024 during her maiden sea trial. Now, 18 months, let's do another brief summary, with a slightly generous estimation, assuming all aforementioned ships have already been commissioned. The PLA Navy has added 1 aircraft carrier, 1 amphibious assault ship, 1 large destroyer or cruiser, 7 destroyers, and 6 frigates into its surface combat fleet within 2025. On top of the massive addition to the surface fleet, at least 2 Type 093B guided missile nuclear attack submarines, or SSGN, were also added to the PLA Navy. The Type 093B SSGN is a significant milestone, as a handful of new features that were once unheard of on earlier PLA nuclear submarines are added, such as quieter pump jet propulsion, vertical launch system, etc. Some U.S. naval analysts, such as Jerry Hendricks from the Center for New American Security, estimated the quietness of these new boats is on par with U.S. Navy's improved LA class. Past U.S. assessments hadn't been kind to the PLA Navy's older nuclear submarines. Here is an illustration published by the U.S. Office of Naval Intelligence in 1996 on the noise rating of a selection of world's nuclear submarines.
They're like, our fantasy subs that don't exist yet, they're even quieter and faster.
Back then, China's Type 093 SSN, which was to be first commissioned in 2006, was ranked noisier than the U.S. Sturgeon or 636 class SSN that first commissioned in 1967. And now, with the Type 093B assessed to be at the improved Los Angeles or 688I class, we can see a significant improvement was made, with 24 VLS cells, each capable of launching land attack and anti-ship cruise missiles. The 2 new Type 093B submarines added another 48 VLS cells to the PLA Navy, bringing the total VLS cells added to the force to exactly 800 in 2025. Let's put the 800 VLS cell count into perspective, comparing it to that of other naval forces in the Indo-Pacific region. Just for the sake of this exercise, I will treat the ships commissioned into the PLA Navy in 2025 separately, and have it and the PLA Navy as of the end of 2020 as 2 different entries. We can see that the PLA Navy in 2020 is the force with the most VLS cells in the region, with a total of approximately 4,400 cells. The second place goes to the US Navy's 7th Fleet, at about 1,500 cells from both the surface and the submarine. The third place is the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force, trailing very closely with about 1,450 cells. At 4th place is the Republic of Korea Navy at slightly above 1,000 cells. Then the 5th place is the Indian Navy with slightly below 1,000 cells. And the PLA Navy ships and boats commissioned in 2025 alone, with their 800 VLS cells combined, would rank number 6 in the Indo-Pacific region. Note, as of now, the comparison is extremely naive by using a simple count of all VLS cells, without distinguishing by size and missile loadout. In this mix, we have huge, multi-purpose cells such as the PLA Navy's 850mm wide UVLS, or ROK Navy's KVLS-2, with cells that go beyond 900mm in width. Both of these systems are big enough to be capable of launching ballistic missiles. Also in the mix, we have the small, single-purpose cells that fire the Barak 1 point defense SAM with a maximum range of 12 km, or 7.5 miles. One way to adjust for this is to remove those smaller single-use VLS cells that are unable to fire long-range SAMs or surface attack missiles, namely the Mach 48 cells and Barak 1 cells. This adjustment would move the PLA Navy's 2025 new addition up to the 5th place. After this adjustment, this comparison is still an oversimplification, as the actual firepower of a navy is determined by a vast amount of other factors, but it can still somewhat depict the general trajectory. In a single year, the PLA Navy commissioned the equivalent of the entire combat fleet of a major power in the Indo-Pacific, or the equivalent of the combat fleet of multiple major European powers combined.
I think that that's what you need to understand. And I want to thank this creator for making such a clear summary. What China built last year is the equivalent of a major country's navy. Do you understand that? Like, do you get that? And the United States of America just canceled our Constitution class. We cannot build ships. So they're pumping out a fleet carrier, a assault carrier, or, you know, an amphibious assault carrier, whatever or you want to call it, assault ship, whatever. Like, those in and of themselves are multi-billion-dollar projects. Plus they did all these modern destroyers, plus they did submarines, plus they did a bunch of frigates. We had to cancel our frigate program because we can't get it to work. And it's not something that's on the drawing board. It's something that is built like this. Like, I don't think people understand the rate at which China's military power is expanding is exponential. However, it's still below where the US is. The United States of America has spent tens of billions, hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars over decades to have the Navy we have. And China is going like this. It's like an exponential catch up, but they're not quite there yet. And people are mad because they could see where China's catching up. And they're like, China, rush into conflict with the US. Rush into conflict with the US. Send your Navy all the way to the shores of Venezuela, which is right off the coast of the US. And US is, you know, the Gulf of America, as Trump calls it. That's just not happening, man. And it sucks. It sucks that the United States is unconstrained. It sucks that international law is fake. But this period where America is capable of doing this unchallenged is ending rapidly. And we're pissing off the entire world right as a new power is rising. And that new power's strategy is we're going to be nice to other countries. We're going to help them achieve their goals. We're going to give them fair deals. You think the United States of America is going to remain the world superpower by being a fucking asshole? I don't think that's going to work. And the USSR, like, I'm sorry, but it was overextended. And that's part of why it fell. Because their reach, they allowed what they thought, you know, ultimately the wars in Afghanistan, the attempt to stay, you know, overspend their military, undermine their domestic investment, and that is what led to a stagnation of the USSR's economy and ultimately its collapse. The United States is overinvesting in the military while letting its domestic investment fall off a cliff. China's investing in domestically while using their military as a surplus investment to defend their interests. The reason why China is able to build all these ships is because they built up a domestic, peaceful shipbuilding industry that was better than anywhere in the world to help their what? Their domestic industrial growth. The military power is a result of their actual country's real strength, not something that they're over-investing in at the detriment of their investment in their country. They invested in their country first to make their country powerful, and now when they invest in the military, it's effective and efficient and cheap.
If there are no major surprises in the last few days of this year, we have pretty much completed the summary of the new combat ships that joined the PLA Navy in 2025, and we can take a bit of more time looking at 2026 and beyond. For the surface fleet, there's one Type 055 large destroyer or cruiser, the Anqing. It's at the advanced stage of sea trials. She might be commissioned in early to mid 2020. There's another Type 052D destroyer at the similar stage, the DDG-176.
Do you guys know the difference between a cruiser, a destroyer, a frigate? Do you guys understand what that even means? It's not really necessary to get into if it doesn't matter to you, but basically this long story short, it's about independent, its size and range. There has been a kind of homogenization of ships. I didn't actually know the difference despite all the video games I've played, LOL. Cruiser refers to, like, that's basically saying that's the range where it can operate independently. So it's on a cruise.
7 Tongchuan, also being on track to join the PLA Navy at similar time. On top of those two ships, there are 4 additional Type 055 and 4 Type 052D at various stages of construction, totaling 10 destroyers. 10? These ships are projected to join the PLA Navy through 2026 to late or early 2020. Furthermore, from this screen captured posted on Chinese social media Weibo, the tenders for ship number 39 to 43 of the Type 052D destroyer are also out, If construction of these 5 ships start in 2026 or 2027, we could expect them to...
So they're building 10. I think the U.S. is going to launch like 2.
Join the PLA Navy
Those
by
are
2030.
destroyers, which are the small
Additionally,
warships.
the PLA Navy is still building further Type 054As. Here, it's a photo taken around May 2025, showing one new Type 054A.
Oh my God. 12 U.S. Navy destroyers to operate beyond 35-year service life. Extending the lives of warships may indicate the Navy's struggle to keep its fleet count at a credible level as Chinese naval construction booms. United States Navy will extend the life of 12 Arleigh Burke-class Flight 1 destroyers beyond their expected 35-year service life. At the Secretary's appeal, the Navy constructed a thorough evaluation of each DDG-51 Flight 1 ship over the past 10 months and determined that 12 destroyers could and should remain operational beyond their expected service life. The decision, based on a hull-by-hull evaluation of ship material condition, combat capability, technical feasibility, and lifestyle maintenance requirements, will result in an additional 48 years of cumulative ship service life in the 2028 to 2035 timeframe. The Arleigh Burke, the first warship of the class, was commissioned in 1991. While lacking some of these improvements, the 12 aging warships continue to pack a punch. Del Toro noted that they continue to project power globally, most recently in the Red Sea, competing with China's plan. However, the Navy is also under pressure to deliver a credible ship count as the U.S. enters a strategic level competition with China, whose People's Liberation Army Navy has expanded considerably in recent years. Meanwhile, the U.S. Navy is said to be lagging behind, still unable to reach its 2018 force structure goal of 355 ships. However, this target was lifted to 381 ships in a report to Congress last year. The size of the Navy since 2003 has generally ranged between 270 and 300 battle force ships. As of 30 September 2024, the figure was 296. According to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, China now possesses the world's largest maritime fighting force. The plan to operate 234 warships. China's combatants encompass all of its known active-duty crewed missile or torpedo-armed ships or submarines, displacing more than 1,000 metric tons, including 22 missile-armed corvettes recently transferred to China's Coast Guard, but not the approximately 80 missile-armed small patrol craft operated by the plan. If China continues to expand its fleet at current pace and the U.S. does not revitalize its shipbuilding industry, China will grow increasingly likely to emerge victorious from interstate war, the CSIS explained, especially a prolonged great power war. The service life extensions meet the Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Lisa Franchetti, and the NAV plan. Today, budget-constrained environment requires the Navy to make prioritized investments to keep more ready players in the field. The Navy is actively pulling the right levers to maintain and grow its battle force inventory to support the U.S. global interests in peace and win decisively in conflict. Does the United States have anything going for it besides its military-industrial complex anyway? The military-industrial complex of the United States is, I don't know how else to put this, a paper tiger.
Given the early stage depicted in this photo, this ship is definitely not among those commissioned in 2020. The word on Chinese social media is that the Type 054A production will finally cease at hull number 50. In 2025, we have already seen hull 41 to 44 commissioned into service, and according to accounts on Weibo that are more familiar with PLA's shipbuilding, all the remaining 6 ships have already been launched. So we can reasonably expect those 6 ships will join the PLA Navy between 2026 and, so between 2026 to 2030, we can reasonably expect 5 Type 055 large destroyers or cruisers, 10 Type 052D destroyers, 6 Type 054A destroyers to be commissioned. And during this period, we will also be witnessing the commissioning of the first Type 076 amphibious assault ship, the commissioning, or at least sea trial, of the first Type 004 nuclear aircraft carrier, and maybe another improved Type 003 conventional aircraft carrier. For the submarine fleet, to date, apart from the 2 already commissioned Type 093B SSGNs, another 8 are already launched into the water. If we assume a speed of 2 boats a year, by 2030, these 8 boats will all have joined the PLA Navy. Combining all these known future ships and boats, the PLA Navy is looking to add another 1,500 large VLS cells to its fleet at minimum. To further keep in mind these future additions are exclusive for traditional manned platforms. We have seen strong evidence of the PLA Navy making investment into developing unmanned or optionally manned naval platforms, substantial firepower. It's a recently leaked photo of a trimaran, likely unmanned submersible vessel developed for the PLA Navy. According to naval analyst H.I. Sutton, this vessel might be armed with VLS cells. If the PLA Navy decides to pursue such a concept at scale, we would see another major source of growth of the PLA Navy's firepower. Additionally, we have also recently observed in China a mock-up or proof of concept of a civilian cargo ship carrying containerized VLS tubes among other sensors and weapons. We also don't know if this concept will...
I mean, like, the idea of fighting China on its face is dumb as fuck. On its face, it's dumb as fuck. And it's completely unnecessary. This is a really good video. This is a pretty good video for a small channel. I really like it. I'm gonna have to look more into that guy. Let me share. I'm not typically an OSINT enjoyer. That was very, very useful to kind of understand the situation that Donald Trump is putting us into of a war against China is absolutely idiotic beyond belief and completely unnecessary. We've traded with China almost my entire life. We've been trading successfully and peacefully with China. And now suddenly we need to fight them? Why? Because they're oh, you're making us look bad. You're building too much high-speed rail. Oh no, your cities look too nice. Like, what is the war for? Let me show you something, chat. As a proud Pennsylvanian, the misery I see on our streets humiliates and disgusts me. We were once one of the wealthiest states in the Union. Now we are the capital of opioid overdose and male suicide. There is a class war being fought, and the rich are winning. Look at the difference between China and Philadelphia. And if you drive around American cities, this is a common sight. Like, I'm sorry, but it is. People literally laying face down on the sidewalk. It's the same thing in LA. It's the same thing in Seattle. It's the same thing in San Francisco. It's the same thing in New York. It's the same thing in Baltimore. It's the same thing in Austin. It's the same thing in every state in this country. It happened to Fast 10 years and it's Zombieland now. I mean, oh, they've destroyed regular people's ability to make a good life for themselves. I mean, that's what it is. It used to be in Pennsylvania that you'd graduate high school and you could join the fucking steelworkers union and have a pension and a good paying job where you work 40 hours a week. It was tough work, but you were a member of a community organization. You got a good paycheck. You were productive. You could afford to buy yourself a home and start a family. And by 25, 30, you had your first kid. You owned your own home. You were on your way to a pension. You got good benefits and you were productive. That world is completely gone. You didn't need to be some sort of extraordinary human being to afford to have a home and a family and a job. You just had to graduate high school and show up to work. That used to be the way you were at least a moderate success, a modest success. That's gone. Now you need to be in the top 10%. And if you're in the top 10%, you're struggling to find a home that you can afford. That's the reality. That's the reality. I mean, I pay basically a mortgage of student loans. And that is the reality. If you didn't buy a house in 2020, it has become completely unaffordable since then. It's gone. 2020 was the last chance to be able to afford a home in this country. Now to afford a home, you either already have to have one or your parents or some other person must gift you the down payment, usually by using their own home equity. That's reality. Or you're a veteran and you get a 0% VA loan.
More details are emerging about Renee Good, the mother of three, the award-winning poet who was shot and killed in her car by a federal immigration agent Wednesday during a surge of immigration enforcement in Minneapolis, prompting peaceful vigils and protests for the past 2 days in Minneapolis and around the country. Good's family and neighbors say she'd persevered after the death of her second husband, who was a military veteran who suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, and found a new home and community in Minneapolis. Meanwhile, Vice President J.D. Vance addressed the killing of Good during a White House press conference Thursday.
I can believe that her death is a tragedy while also recognizing that it's a tragedy of her own making and a tragedy of the far left who has marshaled an entire movement, a lunatic fringe, against our law enforcement officers.
Vice President Vance claimed Renee Good had aimed her car at the ICE agent. But the New York Times published a slow-motion analysis showing how her vehicle was turning away from the officer when he opened fire, shooting her in the face. Vance also claimed the ICE agent who shot and killed Renee Good is protected by absolute immunity.
The precedent here is very simple. You have a federal law enforcement official engaging in federal law enforcement action. That's a federal issue. That guy is protected by absolute immunity. He was doing his job. The idea that Tim Walz and a bunch of radicals in Minneapolis are going to go after and make this guy's life miserable because he was doing the job that he was asked to do is preposterous.
The ICE agent, who's seen on video shooting Good, was wearing a mask, but has now been identified as Jonathan Ross. Court records show that during a traffic stop last year, he was pulled about 100 yards while firing a stun gun at the driver's head. This comes as Minnesota state investigators say the FBI is blocking them from accessing, quote, case material, scene evidence, or investigative interviews necessary to complete a thorough and independent investigation, unquote, into the ICE shooting of Renee Good. On Thursday, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, the BCA, does not have the jurisdiction to investigate the shooting. That unit was set up after the police murder of George Floyd in 2020. The move prompted outrage among Minnesota state officials, including Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, who posted this video Thursday night on social media.
Just in Minnesota yesterday, a tragedy, the death of Renee Good on the streets at the hands of a federal agent. You also witnessed last night a beautiful visual, a peaceful visual, people expressing their constitutional and First Amendment rights in a peaceful manner, and for that I say thank you. I've been very clear, we need a couple things here. We need Minnesota to carry out this investigation, to make sure that the professionals at the BCA and the local law enforcement who's in charge of law enforcement make sure we do the investigation, and then to pull back this unnecessary surge. And so with that, I would ask for all of us to continue to do this peacefully, continue to raise our voices, but do so in a manner that brings about that sense of community. In Minnesota, I'm declaring tomorrow at 10 a.m. on January 9th, I'd ask everyone to pause for a moment of silence, to remember Renee Good, also to remember all that's good and right about this nation.
Meanwhile, on Thursday in Portland, Oregon, ICE agents reportedly shot and injured 2 people. This prompted the Oregon Attorney General to announce his own investigation focused on, quote, whether any federal officer acted outside the scope of their lawful authority, unquote. Elsewhere in Philadelphia, District Attorney Larry Krasner had this warning for ICE agents.
If any law enforcement agent, any ICE agent, is going to come to Philly to commit crimes, then you can get the F out of here. Because if you do that here, I will charge you.
For more, we're joined in Minneapolis by the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of Minnesota, Attorney General Keith Ellison. He oversaw the investigation and prosecution of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin and 3 other police officers involved in the murder of George Floyd. Welcome back to Democracy Now!, Attorney General Keith Ellison. If you can start off by explaining what has taken place, first responding to the killing of Renee Good, and then while at first the FBI was cooperating with the state and investigating her death, now they have pulled out?
Yes. At this point, there is no joint investigation as that we started out and that was happening. We've been notified that at this point, federal authorities have claimed exclusive authority over the evidence, and that is certainly a problem for a multitude of reasons. One is that this case must be independently investigated. There must be a fair, transparent investigation of all of the facts. Homicides, and this clearly is a homicide. And I'll just note for your readers, homicide and murder are not exactly the same thing. Murder is a legal conclusion. homicide. It really just says by the hands of another. This is clearly a homicide. And because of that, the states traditionally, historically, have had priority in jurisdiction over these kind of matters. It's certainly the right thing for local authorities, state authorities, to be intimately involved in conducting this investigation. So the fact that the federal authorities have said, this is our case, not yours. And when you add on that the president, vice president, and the Secretary of Homeland Security have already exonerated the Jonathan Ross, in this case, the ICE agent, that's deeply disturbing. And my thought is, what are you hiding? I mean, if you feel that the ICE agent operated within the law, then let there be an investigation so that that can be revealed. But if you just exclude state authorities, stop, frustrate, undermine a fair, transparent investigation, then any result you come up with will look simply like a whitewash and covering up, what could well be nefarious bad activity. I just want to say to your listeners, too, of course I have my own eyes that have seen the tape, but I, because of the role I play in our state, have to maintain a position that the case needs to be investigated before I jump to and declare an outcome. I'm trying to not do what I believe is irresponsible rhetoric by the president, vice president, and secretary by simply stating a conclusion before we've been able to do an investigation. I got common sense and I got good vision. This is an outrage, but I think those of us who are responsible for delivering meaningful justice, as we did in the Floyd case, it's our job to not prejudge the facts, but to gather them, examine them, and then determine charging decisions. That's not what the federal authorities are doing, and I'm calling on them to reconsider their very poor policy decision and to stop their rhetoric that prejudges the facts. And please stop smearing the name of Renee Good. This woman lost her life trying to look out for the most vulnerable of her neighbors. That is how she died, as a legal observer, trying to make sure the most vulnerable of her neighbors were safe and secure in their lives. She was a good person. She was a mother of 3, a mother of a 6-year-old who, according to reports, she had just dropped off from school. And I urged these leaders in our federal government to knock off the smear tactics on this woman's life.
Oh, fuck. Sorry about that, chat. Part of the way we're going to defeat the right is showing people that we still have humanity, that we are normal, that we are human beings. Like, that's part of the way we win. And this is the part that's very important for me. We have to also show people we're going to beat their ass and there's going to be consequences. True justice is not just everyone holding hands. Justice is repairing the wound. There's a very famous quote from Malcolm X, which seared into my brain. Why is it on Facebook? Can I get something that's not on Facebook? Is it removed from YouTube? Like, what the fuck? All right, I give up. I guess Instagram is the best I can do.
We're making progress in this country and worldwide? No. I will never say that progress is being made. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. If you pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that the blow made. And they haven't even begun to pull the knife out, much less try and heal the wound. They won't even admit the knife is there. I feel, however, that...
And so, if we want to heal the wound of Trumpism, we can't just be friendly to Trumpers. No. We must make them pay consequences. In the next administration, they need to be put in prison and their wealth seized, and the crypto scammers' wealth seized. They're not allowed to sit there and make money off of corruption and then walk away. They need to be put in prison. The generational wealth must be seized. On Thursday, at a rare assertion of congressional authority over the president's war powers, the Senate agreed to debate a resolution aimed at curbing Mr. Trump's use of military force in Venezuela. Senator Rand Paul, Republican of Kentucky, said one factor that may have tipped the vote was the president's comment during Wednesday's interview that the United States might remain involved in Venezuela for years. On the domestic front, Trump suggested that judges only have power to restrict his domestic policy agenda from the deployment of the National Guard to the imposition of tariffs under certain circumstances. but he was already considering workarounds. He raised the possibility that if his tariffs issued under emergency authorities were struck down by the Supreme Court, he could repackage them as licensing fees. And Mr. Trump, who has said he was elected to restore law and order, reiterated that he was willing to invoke the Insurrection Act and deploy the military inside the United States and federalize the National Guard units if he felt it was important to do so. So far, I haven't felt the need to do it. They're trying to push Turning Point USA into high schools. Jesse Ventura.
Did it make you feel better to have that conversation, or what would you say?
No, I'm just saying, as a graduate of Roosevelt High School and as the former governor of Minnesota, I'm so proud of Roosevelt High School and how they stood up for what is supposed to be America and freedom. And freedom is not arresting people without warrants. We have a system here. It's called a Constitution. And we have a party, the Republicans, who don't seem to want to abide by the Constitution. January 6th is a prime example of that. And now they're all free and they're in charge. You know what? Maybe it's time for Jesse. I only did one term. I'm owed a second.
Mr. Ventura, can you remind us, you went to school here?
I went to school here. I'm a 1969 graduate of Minneapolis Roosevelt. I'm proud of them for what they did. They made me proud as an alumni. Go Teddies.
What are your thoughts? I know we're jumping in, probably doubling up on some of his questions, but what are some of your thoughts about what unfolded yesterday, and then after that, what you saw?
Well, I've told you already. We're a country of the Constitution. We have leadership now that has destroyed the Constitution. They don't follow it. They could care less about it. Am I right or wrong? I took an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I view after January 6th, the Republican Party is a domestic enemy to our Constitution. I can't get any bolder than that, can I?
And you obviously saw the video that the students shot outside here, and that obviously elicited a lot of emotions for you. Just watching
What do you mean
that,
the student shot?
there were some students that shot the video of the chaos here yesterday.
No, I didn't even see it.
Oh, you didn't see it? Okay, I thought you did.
See it.
Okay.
The only thing I've seen is the murder.
So talk about, you were a student here. When did you graduate?
1969.
Have you been back here?
Came back to homecoming 2 years ago. No. I'm a proud graduate. I held 3 school records in swimming, 2 District 17 records. Our football team was undefeated. We won. Back then there were no playoffs. We played St. Paul Central for the Twin City Championship and defeated them, I think it was 21-6. And we did that at the old brick house, if you remember that, the old University of Minnesota. That's where they used to play the Twin City Championship game. There weren't playoffs then.
Dave Winfield was on that Central team, wasn't he?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
We beat Dave Winfield and Central.
Just to be abundantly clear about what you're doing, what you wanted to do at the school here today.
I just came here today to show my support as a graduate of Roosevelt and tell them how proud I was of what they did of keeping ICE off of this campus. This is a place of learning, and you learn things like the Constitution. You learn about warrants. You learn about things of that nature. And what we're getting right now is violating all that, what kids are being taught. You want to know something? I'll give you a quote. We're a third world country now. You want to know why? I'm an expert. I've been to them. I spent 17 months in Southeast Asia while the draft dodger was playing golf. You know how I know we're a third world country? Because in third world countries, they have the military doing their police work in the cities when you walk around. I was in the Philippines the day Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law and went under dictatorship. We went from nobody to a guy with a machine gun on every corner. That's what happens in a dictatorship. In comes the military. That's what's happening here. And people better wake up to it. You want to read something? Then read your history of Germany and start comparing the tactics of what happened in 1930s Germany to what's happening here. Read history. You learn from history. And this is nothing new.
Oh, people don't know who Jesse Ventura is. Oh, God. This is international actor, wrestler, former Navy SEAL, former independent governor of Minnesota, Jesse the Body Ventura. I call Jesse is a idiosyncratic guy, for sure. But I would call him a member of the populist left, which means that he does believe some dumb bullshit There's no doubt about it. But he's an actual populist left. And when guys like this are on our side, it means we're winning and we're cooking. Now, should he be in charge? Probably not of everything that we're doing. He's been a good guy for a long time. Like, there's something that we always talk about, is he tried to unionize the WWE.
What did Hulk Hogan say about steroids that bothered you?
He said he never took them. That was a lie. Actually, when he was here in Minneapolis, that's who you went to get him from.
Really?
Well, you'll say that's not true. But for him, like the common laugh used to be when he used to tell the kids to say their prayers and take their vitamins. In the dressing room, we'd always laugh and say, orals or injectables, when he'd tell them to take their vitamins, because a slang term for steroids is vitamins.
You and Hulk were once good friends.
Yeah.
What's the likelihood of that ever being repaired?
Never.
Why?
Can't trust him. I'm not friends with anyone I don't trust. I have to have a trust with someone to be their friend. And he's the one that ratted me to Vince when I tried to unionize. I found that out under federal deposition when Vince was put under sworn, and he didn't hesitate at all. I told my lawyer the story, and in deposition you could ask about anything. And so I wanted to know who ratted me in the locker room, because there were no agents, no one from the office was in there when I did it. So it had to be one of the boys. And when my attorney said, Mr. McMahon, has there ever been a union in wrestling? And Vince said, no. He said, has anyone ever tried to? And Vince said, well, I think Jesse Ventura spouted his mouth off about it once before. And my attorney said, did you hear Mr. Ventura? No. Well, then how do you know he did? With no hesitation, Vince went, Hulk Hogan told me. And I didn't show any emotion, but I almost tipped over in the chair because he was my friend. And I thought, but then I understand why. When we went to court, I saw in WrestleMania 3, Hogan got paid more than all of us combined. Now, why would he want a union when he's getting taken care of? Imagine that, WrestleMania 3, 93,000 people, and he got more than Andre the Giant and all the rest of us combined. If there was a union, would that happen? No.
What communication did you have with Hulk?
So Jesse Ventura is very, 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 and by the way, chat, and this is where that ends up. Donald Trump at the RNC. He betrayed his comrades, and he's a scumbag and a self-centered narcissist. So where does he end up? At the fucking RNC, ripping his pre-cut shirt.
That's enough! And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother! Let Trumpomania rule!
Scum till the end. Rest in piss. All right, let's get back to Jesse being based. Now, Jesse was actually cool. Jesse is actually a hard ass.
This is all repeated. This is a game plan, it looks like to me, you know, of what's going on here. How dare Minnesota? We'll take care of ourselves. We don't need federal troops coming in here without warrants.
Some people have said this undermines local law enforcement.
It undermines the entire Constitution. The military cannot be turned loose unless it's a national emergency. They're going to tell me this is a national emergency?
Message for Governor Walz.
Who was that? You mean the draft-dodging coward? I don't call him by name. He's the draft-dodging coward who, when it was his time to serve his country, he did what all rich white boys did. I wasn't a rich white boy. I grew up in South Minneapolis. Most of me and all my friends are Vietnam veterans. We had to go. But the rich white boys never had to go, did they? And he didn't have to go, did he? And yet he's going to tell me what courage is?
Are you supporting Governor Walz and Mayor Frey the way they've been outspoken towards?
Absolutely. Good for them and good for these people that stood up. They're teaching their students something, that we are a country, that we have to be a country of law and a country of the Constitution. They're all forgetting about the Constitution of the United States of America. We don't even have it anymore. After January 6th, are you kidding me? And then they all get turned loose, and now they're in charge? I gave up on this country when this guy I haven't even watched the news since last November. I stumbled onto this, and now look what you've done to me.
Well, thank you for stopping. I appreciate it.
Here I was leading a nice, quiet life, and now you've injected me back in here, and probably going to make me the governor of Minnesota again.
So here's the thing: you need to understand that idiosyncratic, populist, nationalist feeling is just part of the masses, you know, and it is what it is.
There should not be one billionaire in America. None. And I'll tell you why. Because there is nobody that works hard enough to earn $1 billion. And my argument is this: the 2 jobs I did in my life that were physically the most demanding and mentally the most difficult that I ever did paid me the least amount of money. One was going through buds, and I challenge any billionaire to put up with 6 weeks of that shit.
Buds is the training course to join the Navy SEALs.
At $62 every 2 weeks, you know? And the second was right before I went in the Navy. I had a job with the Minnesota Highway Department, couple bucks above minimum wage. I worked for the bridge crew, and you know what my job was? I worked a 4-day work week, 10 hours a day, so I could have Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the weekend. You're 18, of course you're going to do that. But I worked 40 hours in 4 days on the bridge crew, and guess what I did? Ran the 80-pound jackhammer. I challenge any—
There is nothing like running a jackhammer. Now, I didn't run the 80-pounder. I ran the smaller one. And honestly, I think it may be the most painful experience of your life, because what happens with a jackhammer is it like vibrates your body apart, and you get the most excruciating pain that you could ever imagine. I don't know how to explain it. I really don't. Like, you could feel the difference between your skin and your tissues and your nerves. And like, you could feel that you're made up of meat. There's nothing like vibration pain.
A billionaire to run.
What the fuck is a jackhammer? Oh my God, Jesus.
This is an all-electric jackhammer on the Hilti Neuron platform.
Okay, this is some guy who's never run one before. We need one that's like, we need to see one on the is there anybody actually doing it for real? Is there any adults doing a real jackhammer? This is a light jackhammer. I would run one of these. Basically, these cut through asphalt, concrete, etc., and it just vibrations of the impacts make your body like almost pull apart.
Jackhammer for 40 hours 1 week and tell me he works harder than that. No, he doesn't. That's why I believe there should not be a billionaire in the world.
Drew Pavlov has tried to be Australian Nick Shirley. Drew Pavlov and I visited one of the $3 million house in Bankstown that was registered as the primary business address. Wait, is he in America? Or is this in Australia? All right, where was Jesse Ventura? Where were we at? Oh, yeah, he's almost done.
You seem fired up and motivated.
Because somebody needs to clean up what the Democrats and Republicans constantly wreck. And you notice I lump them together. You know, I should use my old name for them. The Democrats and Republicans constantly wreck. And you notice and then they all get turned loose, and now they're in charge. I gave up on this country when this guy I haven't even watched the news since last November. I stumbled onto this, and now look what you've done to me.
Well, thank you for stopping. I appreciate it.
Here I was leading a nice, quiet life, and now you've injected me back in here, and probably going to make me the governor of Minnesota again.
And you seem fired up and motivated.
Because somebody needs to clean up what the Democrats and Republicans constantly wreck. And you notice I lump them together. You know, I should use my old name for them, the Democrips and the Republicans, which my apologies to the Crips and Bloods for using their name in that way.
And Governor, would you like to say anything about yesterday, what happened?
Any time you have the loss of life that needlessly happened, That's tragedy. And what occurred yesterday did not have to happen. There is no way. I've seen the tape of it, and who is this, the governor of South Dakota? Has she ever met a person of color? Do they have any in South Dakota?
Thank you for stopping. Appreciate it.
Thank you. You know what I'm talking about on that, right?
Thank you.
I have a soft spot for Jesse. There's no doubt about it.
And what about politics?
I don't give a shit.
You don't find it a great
I really don't care about politics.
Of
some people
material?
do. I don't. I think the system is corrupt. Every time I'm walking on the street, somebody's like, hey, vote for so-and-so. I'm like, it's all corrupt. Anarchy is the only way we're going to change anything. Violence. Kill a politician. That's the only way you can change shit.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you're joking.
No.
Are you serious?
Yeah, voting is not going to make a difference. It has never. Not in 100 years.
So what would you like to see?
I'd like to see some politicians start getting murdered and reform this government.
Oh my God.
Do one that's not corrupted. I'd like to get business out of government, and they're not going to do it. So the only way to do that is start killing people.
Isn't that exactly what
Look around the world. How has anything changed around the world? How has any regime change happen around the world? Violence. That's the only way. You think people in Arab countries are that much different than us?
Yeah.
Violence. That's the only way you depose a system that doesn't represent the people anymore.
I mean, I think the wonderful thing about the United States is that we can vote, and you do change administration.
Your vote doesn't go anywhere. Your vote doesn't do anything.
Yes, it does.
You can now be arrested and never tried if they say you're a terrorist. Never tried in your life. Just arrested and held forever. Who voted for that?
So shoot them all.
No, not shoot them all. Start shooting them until they get business out of politics and they start representing who we are instead of their money interests. Yeah, violence. That's the only way shit changes, man.
Okay.
Look at history. Tell me when a regime has changed with voting. I mean, I know. I'm not trying. That's not fair because you haven't studied this stuff.
Well, no, I'm not trying to, murder politicians. I'm not trying to do what I don't like that others do that I would like to change, so I will shoot somebody because I'm pissed off that they're shooting somebody else.
Yeah.
It's not the way that I think, but that's fine. We think differently.
I think even if you don't want to shoot somebody, don't vote. Voting is you complicitly saying, I support this system, and I don't support it anymore. I don't. We're killing people in Yemen. We're murdering families in Yemen that aren't associated with any sort of terrorist thing. It was just an oopsie when we killed a wedding party. And Obama, the fucking hope change guy, just refused to comment on it. That's cool. Do what you want. It's not going to change. Your voting is not going to change that. I know one way that it'll change. I can look at history and tell you this is the way things change. Look at whenever a black guy gets shot. It's like, oh, it's bad. If this is a riot, no one comments on it. Those things go under the radar. When there's a riot in Baltimore, it's like, hold on. We've got to rethink the system here in Baltimore because people went crazy. That's just in history, here and elsewhere. That's the only way shit changes.
All right, we'll agree to disagree on that.
And I guarantee the only thing they're going to show from this clip is Ari Shaffir doesn't say Amy Schumer is the most funny comic in the world.
Now, what I disagree with him the most is that anarchy doesn't, you're not going to overturn institutions like the FBI or whatever, the U.S. military, by spontaneous riots on the streets. You need to have some sort of organized core of professional revolutionaries who have goals in mind that they could take the energy of the outraged populace and turn it towards something of value, as opposed to just bashing some windows and yelling at a cop.
Information is limited and won't be speaking to a lot of specifics, but what I can say is that approximately 2:18 this afternoon, Portland police officers responded to the 10,000 block of Southeast Main Street on the report of a shooting. So they came in via a 911 call. Officers confirmed that federal agents had been involved in a shooting. Portland police were not involved in that incident. About 6 minutes later at 2:24.
Yeah, the new body camera footage pretty clearly shows her turning away from the cop. It's pretty fucking, she's pretty clearly trying to turn away from the cop. There's no intent whatsoever for her to try to hit the cop. It's pretty weird. Confused at professional revolutionary, but I agree. Professional revolutionary is somebody who understands the process of revolution, who understands political systems and how they operate, their vulnerabilities, and also a person who understands theory and structures of society and who dedicates their life to doing that. That's a professional revolutionary.
4 p.m. officers received information once again through...
Did the officer create his own exigency by walking in front of the SUV? I don't think there was any world where he felt under threat or was fearing for his life. He was aggressive and he was, there was no self-defense.
dispatch that a man who had been shot was calling and requesting
when a cop
help.
stops you, you stop. No. Even if she was in the wrong for fleeing, that doesn't mean the cop gets to shoot. You understand that cops are not God? It's not Judge Dredd, you fucking cuck bitch. That you're a citizen and they're your servant. I'm not a servant of cops. They're not in charge of me. He's also not a cop. He's an ICE agent. She's a citizen. He has no right to detain her. She has, you know what I mean? This is an immigration guy. He has no right to be harassing people that are, I have the right to tell him to go suck my dick. And he should say, yes, sir. Right away, sir. If you don't like that, don't become a law enforcement officer.
In the area of Northeast 146th and East Burnside. Our officers responded. We found a male and a female with apparent gunshot wounds. Officers applied a tourniquet and summoned emergency medical personnel. The patients were transported to local hospital, and their conditions at this time are unknown. Officers have determined that the two people who were injured in the shooting involving the federal agents from the earlier call. PPB officers secured both scenes, and this is a federal investigation. It's being led by the FBI. We have been in touch with them. We are, in regular contact. This is their responsibility, but when we have these type of events happen in the city, Portland Police Bureau does offer a level of assistance. This is not in any way, shape, or form immigration related on our end. We do not know the facts of this case. We are simply providing that traditional investigative support and perimeter support, which is minimal. But I do want to make it clear that we are out there, but we are not involved in immigration. And we at this time do not know if this is an immigration-related event. We do not know which federal agencies were involved. As we know, there are many federal agencies serving in the city of Portland right now. So as I said, it's a complex situation with a lot of different information coming out. But Portland Police is on the scene, detectives, etc. I want to say, that I'm saddened that we are here once again in a difficult, challenging, complex situation. But I'm also incredibly grateful for Portlanders. I'm grateful for the way that we have continued to show up over the past year, and we have certainly been tested, and this is no small circumstance. The uncertainty and the fear and the sadness within our community is real, and as the Chief Law Enforcement of the City of Portland, I recognize that, our members recognize that, and we are doing everything in our power to maintain that level of peace and calm and safety. And I want to thank Portlanders who have continued to show up in this space as well, and hopeful that they will do so over the next couple of days, as I'm expecting many to want to express their frustration and disappointment with events today. As I said, this is early on. We do not know the cause, but we are engaged, and hopefully we'll have more information as the evening unfolds. I'm going to turn it over now to Mayor Wilson.
Thank you, Chief. And I just want to also just reiterate what he talked about.
All right, chat. The video has been released. I don't think it shows anything violent, so let's proceed.
Change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking veteran. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the car.
There were gunshot sounds, chat.
Get out of the car.
I mean, she said, "I'm not even mad at you, dude," and you could clearly see that as she was turning the wheel to the right. She was turning the wheel to the right. There's obviously no intent to hit anybody. There was no order to stop the car. There was no order. They just shot immediately. There was no intent to hurt anybody. I only heard 2 shots though, so it kind of has like a weird moment there. It was like there's a cut or some sort of like black screen. It's weird. Hogs think that killing the innocent is good and base because it's a proof of power. Being evil is base. That's basically Asmongold's entire point. Asmongold's entire point is it's good to exercise power. And if you don't have a justification for it, it just shows how powerful you are. My personal response to that is I'm a human being and I believe human beings have value. But I also believe in order for justice to triumph, we must enact it in the world. And so that people like Asmongold do need to suffer consequences and that evil must be destroyed. I am not somebody who believes that Asmongold cannot be reasoned with or talked to or treat. He's not a human being. Okay. He believes that people should be hurt for his pleasure and fun. He just has to be stopped. That's just the reality. And that's it. Like, there's nothing more to say. Too bad the entire Austin streaming circle still includes him in things. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? What? Oh no. Are the botted streamers gonna bot? And look at what happened with Tectone. As soon as there was one iota of pressure on him, he folded like a fucking suit. Where is he now? No longer streaming. Where am I? Bigger than ever. We are going to destroy these guys. And I can tell you right now, the politician, like Hassan just tweeted something that I think is the most accurate sentiment, is that we have an opportunity for the left and a real left to emerge. I'm going to say it one more time. The liberals are waking up while the Dems are being weirdly timid. No organizing, no party funds. It's the midterms too. I don't know. I shit on the Dems a lot, but this is a new level of incompetence. Not even 2016 resistance liberalism, because they can see how fragile the system is. And they're about preserving the system. There's an old video we watched probably a million times, but we're going to watch it again because it is so important that you understand basically how the Democrats think about systems is so fucking pathetic. I don't know how else to describe it.
Is not a position. And when you over-focus on how you should go about things and not what things you should go about, it fosters a certain philosophy about government that is both...
I'm so glad Twitch loves platforming a person like Asmongold who wanted to commit terrorism against the police of Minnesota for enforcing the laws against a right-winger but applauds ICE executing civilians in the streets. Wonder what Twitch will get their head out of their ass. The answer is Twitch is being non-interventionist in the political discussion right now, and that's for our benefit. As long as Twitch is not banning me and not banning Hassan, I don't give a fuck. Let Asmongold dig the ditch. Because right now, the Republicans control the House and the Senate and the White House. It's smart for Twitch to just remain non-interventionist at this time. We will come for him later. As long as they're not banning me and Hassan and the other lefties, let them be non-interventionists right now. We'll come for them later. That's literally what we want. Let him put as many examples of why he needs to be removed on the internet as possible. Twitch remain neutral for the time being. That's because if they banned him right now, what is going to happen? Elon will complain, Trump will complain, there'll be investigations, they'll drag the CEO in front of the House. Wait until the midterms are over, and then we'll come for Asmongold. Keep the receipts, make the compilations, build the evidence. And once the Republican Party trifecta control is shattered and they're no longer able to dictate everything, then we'll be able to come and we'll bury him like the rotten rat he is. You think Trump will complain on Asmongold's behalf? I think the Republican Party defends and protects the right-wing ecosystem. The Democratic Party hates the left-wing ecosystem because they're all corporate whores. JD Vance has mentioned Hassan himself. Yeah, he tried to push the shock collar lie because it was used because Hassan and the left on Twitch in general, not just myself, is a threat to the status quo, literally. We are like, I never thought it would happen, but it is. The left on Twitch is a threat to the status quo, and it's fucking awesome. New York City's mayor's race proved that. And I'm going to tell you right now that a friend of ours is going to be president of the United States. The people that we were playing Among Us with are going to be president of the fucking United States. It's going to be funny as fuck. Do I love Hassan? Hassan is my friend. And I never told this story, but Hassan and I were at a New Year's party this last December. And you know what we were talking about right as the countdown for the new year? China. Sorry, I didn't kiss Hassan because I had my own New Year's kiss, so there was no Hassan my kiss. But Do you think they'll have ICE outside of polling places for intimidation and they reduce voter turnout? It's not going to work. We're not scared. We're not scared. Are you scared of JD Vance and Asmongold? As long as I had a nose clip, I'd fight Asmongold in a sanctioned boxing match right now with no training, out of shape. I'd do it right now. I'd walk out my front door and do a sanctioned boxing match in front of a internationally recognized and trained referee with mutual consent right now. Like, none of these guys are scaring anybody. It's pretty poetic. After Gamergate, a woman who plays video games will be president. Oh, she's the front runner. Unless libs are stupid enough to fall for Gavin Newsom's scam, which I don't think they are. I think the reality is Gavin Newsom right now, people are like when he tweets mean things at Trump, but when he actually has to talk about his own policies, people are going to be like, fuck this dipshit. But we'll see. I don't trust normies. They're stupid. All of us are stupid in our own way. Zoran is endorsing the DSA candidate over the progressive.
Hey guys. How are you, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, Mr. Mayor.
Check out the jacket, huh?
Is that a new jacket on you, sir?
And Sean's there.
I guess I did that to myself. How's it going, guys?
How are you, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, Mr. Mayor.
Check out the jacket, huh?
Is that a new jacket on you, sir?
I guess I did that to myself.
Incredible. Do we have a video of this launch? Do you see what Chinese New Year animal is coming up? Isn't it the year of the horse? Isn't it the year of the horse this year? All right, let's go back to covering the new shooting in Portland.
The city standing tall and really standing together.
Go back.
I've been before you already too many times under these circumstances, but I'm grateful that every time I do make the call within such a short period of time that the Madam Governor will answer the call, and all of the individuals standing behind me and all of our elected officials and community leaders are standing with us as well. And we've always stood together, and we will continue to stand together. Just one day after the horrific violence in Minnesota, our community here in Portland was witness to a moment of fear, confusion, and heartbreak. Earlier this afternoon, 2 people were shot and injured by federal agents in the Hazelwood neighborhood. Violence in our community is devastating. These are not statistics. These are human beings. Portland is not a training ground for militarized agents. When the administration talks about using full force, we are seeing what it means on our streets. The consequences are not abstract. They are felt in hospital rooms and living rooms, in the quiet moments when families try to make sense of what happened, what is happening. We know what the federal government says happened here. There was a time when we could take them at their word. That time is long past. That is why we are calling on ICE to halt all operations in Portland until a full and independent investigation can take place. Our community deserves answers. Our community deserves accountability. And most of all, our community deserves peace. Earlier today, I spoke with Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Strauss. We shared not just our concerns, but our grief for the families who are suffering and grief for the recklessness of our federal government. The administration is trying to divide us, to pit communities against one another, to make us fear one another. Portland, this is a moment to hold each other close, to stand together, to remember that our strength has always come from community, compassion, and solidarity. Yesterday, Governor Walz made an appeal to all of us. Today, I want to say clearly that we stand with Minneapolis, we stand with Minnesota, we stand with Chicago, we stand with LA. We stand with every community that is hurting in our nation, every family that is afraid, every person who feels unseen or unheard. ICE agents and their homeland.
Okay, this audio is so bad I can't even watch.
Clear, 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 clear. Woo! We can see it now. Good afternoon, my friends. It is an honor to be here in a district that I hold dear, to endorse a candidate whose clear promises will soon be echoing at doors from Ridgewood to Greenpoint, from Bushwick to Long Island City. The last time that I was here in this park was on election day during the primary. where I spent 3 hours convinced that I was going to lose. To the extent that when I met someone who asked me for a selfie, I told them to get in the car that we had and go and vote. And that feeling that defeat was a likely possibility, it was something that we dealt with over the course of the campaign.
New camera video. We went over it. Sad how cut and dry it is. Murder by ice. I mean, what do you want me to say? Like, I'm trying to balance these emotions of the reason why this crisis is intensifying is because politics like this are becoming the normalized position. I could expand to the true far left that I've been trying to open up for decades. Thank God I could finally say it. There shouldn't be any billionaires. Being a billionaire should be a crime. It really goes to show how important body cameras are, regardless of political affiliation. They are a force for both good and accountability. Eddie Leo should be required to have one. They're just trying to say she was around. She was turning to the right. Clearly wasn't being rammed. I think one of the things that I would say in general is that Asmongold is probably one of the dumbest pieces of shit to ever live. And I mean that. Like, I think that he may actually know fucking nothing. He may be one of the most worthless sacks of shit. And the thing about it is he knows it. Like, he's not confused about it, right? Like, Asmongold needs to lie about me and Hassan. We just tell the truth about him. I don't have to make up any stories about Asmongold. He has to lie about me and Hassan. He can't tell the truth about us because what's he gonna say? He doesn't even know how to tank at a game he spent 3,000 hours playing. I don't think Asmongold doesn't realize it's a cell phone video, not a body cam. The guy was rammed so hard his phone stayed in his hand while recording. The guy was the most gentle bump while he tried to step in front of the car that was going to the right. He basically threw himself in front of the car and got the gentlest nudge, and it was icy. If you watch the video, the road was icy. An ICE agent stumbled while walking on the ice. He didn't even fall on an icy road. And the detention was not lawful. They had no reason to try to detain her. You and Hassan are practically the only college-educated streamers on Twitch who still read books. That can't be true. There's gotta be. I'm sure there's people I don't know about. The irony is not lost on me that the very people who thought Fauci's personal militia was going to inject them and kill them with the COVID vaccine, but agree 1-to-1 state-sponsored execution and their heads explode. Well, that's because they're lying and they're stupid. You have to understand that the anti-Fauci stuff is they were chasing clout. They're too stupid to believe anything. They don't believe anything consistently. They're stupid. They're stupid. Oh, Caroline reads, of course. ICE threatening more citizens.
We see you following us, interfering with us, honking your horn, blocking our cars. You have a very high probability of making a really bad decision and being arrested today, okay?
I think I'm making exactly
I'm not.
the right decision.
Oh, then why are you giving her a warning? I'm giving her a warning to not interfere with what we're doing, to not make a bad decision today and ruin your life.
Well, bad decisions.
Thank you.
That's funny coming from you.
Okay, alrighty. Thank you. Have a good day.
I hope you have a terrible day.
Okay, thank you.
I think one of the things that we should remember is that this is the easiest list of fascist collaborators to ever get in the history of the planet. They're on a payroll. We know who you are. It's going to leak. It's going to come out. We're going to know who you are. We're going to know what you did. That's why you cover your face. You think your face covering is going to protect you?
My name is Phil. I'm a truck driver for UPS.
My name is Helen. I work in reproductive rights.
It's been hard to save money.
Todo lo que es herramientas, maletas, todo lo que hacemos.
My rent went up $500 a month overnight.
I've talked about it myself, about whether you could have kids at all, purely in terms of how much money it would cost.
Workers deserve it all. Not scraps, not promises, not someday, but now. The housing crisis, the healthcare crisis, the crisis of workers' rights. It isn't a personal failure by any individual. It's a success of a system designed to extract from working people while protecting the wealth and power of the billionaire class. It's a system that blankets the country in AI data centers instead of creating good-paying jobs. A system that ushered in union-busting Reaganism to pave the way for Donald Trump's fascism. A system that's collapsed democracy to usher in oligarchy. I'm Assemblymember Claire Valdez, and I'm running for Congress. because deserving it all means fighting for it all. Housing for all, because in the wealthiest city, in the wealthiest country, one job should be more than enough to make rent. Medicare for all, because insurance and big pharma cartels should not control our economy. Unions for all, because as a union organizer, I believe you should be defined for the life you're meant to live and not the rights you're being stripped of. We will usher in a golden age of organized labor to battle back the new gilded age that is upon us. Our solidarity doesn't stop at the shop floor or a border. It means standing with Puerto Rico against colonial exploitation. It means opposing apartheid and genocide in Palestine. It means rejecting violent regime change in Venezuela while elites mine for oil. This year, Democrats across the country will take on MAGA fascists to win back the majority. But it is this district that will decide what that majority fights for. Everywhere, it's the same fight. Workers against a rigged system, protecting the wealth and power of the billionaire class. Those being pushed to the margins versus a belief that no one should be left behind. This campaign is about building power together. No worker, no organizer, no mayor can do it all alone. This campaign is a child of a movement. We will fight and campaign and grow and govern together. When workers organize, we don't just ask for justice. We demand it, and we win it. I'm Assemblymember Claire Valdez, a union organizer and democratic socialist running for Congress.
DSA member running for lieutenant governor of California. Hell yeah. I'm getting involved, chat. This year is the year I'm getting more involved. We've been promoting people from time to time. I want to get much more physically and personally involved, and we're going to have more people on. I've got a few people that have already reached out to me that we're going to have on over the coming weeks and months. I also need to remain sane. You know, the one part about streaming is it does, and I'm not saying this so you guys pity me or anything, I do get tired of talking. You know, when you talk for like 5-6 hours a day, nonstop your opinions, you kind of get tired of talking for a bit. So I need to spend like an hour before I'm like ready to start blathering again, which then I immediately do. One more hopium tweet. When will Caroline run for Congress? I don't know. I tried. I legitimately tried. I think if Caroline ran for Congress, she'd be the most popular candidate in the fucking country. Come on. She mentioned it last night. Show me the clip right now. She would win. She would easily win. We have a DSA candidate running for Congress in Sacramento. Mai Vang, she has a real shot. Oh, hell yeah. Can you imagine how popular Caroline would be worldwide if she ran? Like, I'm not trying to be an overglazer for Caroline. All we would need to do is post the videos of her being incredibly based in one clip, and then her, like, some of the most iconic photographs that have been taken. Like, they had AOC on the cover of Vogue. Like, come on. Let's be real here. Let's be real. And the thing about her is she's very knowledgeable on policy. She's very capable of giving a, you know, extemporaneous explanation of her views. She's passionate. Like, she would be a great candidate. I'm a huge Caroline Kwan. Like, come on, Senator Kwan, come on. So are we invading Canada now? I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. What about the Oppo research they'll grab from Will Neff? True. That's dangerous. We have to precog all the counter or Caroline. No one gives a shit about that shit. Nobody gives a shit about that. Yeah, we saw this. It's completely insane. This does not warrant getting shot in the head. ICE or murderous thugs looking for any. I think if you support this, I legitimately think if you do support this, you should be in a prison. Like, I'm not, there's no room to disagree here. If you think this was a justified killing, you should be in prison. After she tried to kill him, showing the tires pointed the other way. I'm not even mad at you, dude, as you steer away from the person. Your life is an all-time justification of post-birth abortion. Thanks for the invitation to criticize you and your fellow administration of pedophile rapists. What a sorry excuse for a father, husband, vice president, human, and mammal. Suck this country's collective dick. The left is a sleeping giant. And one of the things that you should all recognize and understand about the left wing in this country and every other country is that it's full of the people that are soft, bleeding heart, compassionate, kind, gentle, nurturing, creative. Like, that's what the left normally attracts, because it's about equity and gentleness and kindness. But when the left actually gets pissed, when the left actually feels like violence is the only option left, it's like waking a sleeping giant.
Amazing. By the way, if you don't know, y'all have a socialist running for mayor of LA. Yeah, this is the year. This is the year of like badass Asian female socialists. My socialist Asian women running.
By the way, I told her this 6 months ago. Chat, when you're right all the time, it starts to become annoying because you don't want to point it out because, it's just kind of annoying. Like, oh, he's always right. Fuck, shut up. Stop being always right. But I'm just saying, I did kind of start the Congress. Like, I kind of did with a couple chatters. We kind of started this.
For office. This is Reverend Ray Huang, Ray for LA. Are we up next? Is it finally our turn? Is it finally our turn? A seasoned community organizer and ordained Presbyterian minister, Reverend Ray Huang, has spent 2 decades bringing people together across faiths, neighborhoods, and movements to fight for dignity, fairness in a city where everyone has a place to call home. As deputy director at Housing Now, California, Ray directed statewide campaigns to make housing affordable and end the displacement of working class communities of color. She led efforts behind major legislative and budget wins, like expanding tenant protections under SB 567 and supporting the passage and implementation of California's groundbreaking social housing study bill, SB 555. She's been an organizer with Clergy for Black Lives and the People's Budget LA, fought for economic justice alongside hotel and service workers at Clergy and Laity United for Economic Justice, and initiated the launch of the Healthy LA Coalition, which won critical pandemic relief for families who otherwise would have been left behind. Ray also.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I swear to God, it would be the easiest $1 million fundraise if we got her to run. If we got Hassan to do a fundraiser for her, it would be the easiest $1 million fundraise. We'd get it done. We would get it done. I would max out, Hassan max out, come on. How many rich friends does she have? No context. The first clip they play if Caroline runs.
Micro penises, 10 of them, so that I can jam them all in my ass at the same time. I am using medical science to widen my butthole so that
Okay, first of all, I don't think Will understands the mechanism. He's taking 10 micro penises in the ass at the same time?
Can receive more dick at the same time. I'm talking 15 genetically modified small penis men cranking me round the clock like I'm a Harkonnen floating around.
I'm guessing this is how many men would you have sex with if you were paid $100,000 each? Is that what Will is saying? How many back shots? I don't believe them. Honestly, I think they're downplaying how hard it is to be a sex worker. You know what I mean? Like, it's not an easy time, guys. It's not easy. It's a not easy time. Do you respect your sex workers? Okay, that is hard work. Wait, Zoran and Miss Rachel did a sing along.
You guys do a song together. You guys do this? The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town. Let's do the horn. The horn on the bus goes beep, 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 beep. Good job. Beep, beep, beep. The horn.
Ethan Klein thinks these people are anti-Semites.
On the bus goes beep, 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 all through the town. Let's do it. Swish, swish, swish. Let's go swish, 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 swish. The wipers on the bus go swish, swish, swish.
What is this camera? It's like if I was on the camera.
The mayor's on the bus. Let's say the mayor on the bus says hello, friends. Can you wave? Show the wave. The mayor on the bus says hello, friends. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. The mayor on the bus says hello, friends. All through the town. Uh-oh, there's a baby on the bus. Oh my God. What does the baby say? The baby on the bus says where, 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 where. The baby on the bus says where, 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 all
the sound Asmongold makes when he's told to take a shower.
Oh, and there's a mommy. The mommy on the bus says, good job. Mommy on the bus says, all through the town.
That's what everybody says to Asmongold when he talks.
The daddy. The daddy on the bus says, I love you. I love you. I love you. The daddy on the bus says, I love you. All through the town. And the moms and the grown-ups and the grandparents, they all say I love you as well. I know. We do it Love that idea. What's your name? Christian. Christian? We're gonna do Christian's idea. The engine on the bus goes vroom, vroom, vroom. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Vroom, vroom, vroom. The engine on the bus goes vroom, vroom, vroom. All through the town. Now let's do the people. The people on the bus go up and down, up and down, up and down. The people on the bus go up and down, all through the town. Let's go back to the wheels one more time. The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town. Everyone. Yeah. Thank you so much to Simon for playing the. What is that? Good job. Yeah. And Christian for his idea. Kids have such great ideas, and he had an idea for the engine. What do you want to share? I want to share a present. Present? Yeah. What's the present? A sun is time from the sun. The sun is a wonderful present. It keeps us warm. I love that idea. Okay, so let's.
I think one of the things that needs to be said is that before us is a question. It was first posed 100 years ago, and it's a choice. And it's a choice that all of us are going to need to make. And now is the moment. You are lucky. You get to live in the most consequential period of human history where we make the decision of socialism or barbarism. You choose me and Hassan and Zoran and Miss Rachel and Sean Fain, or you choose Donald Trump, JD Vance, Asmongold, Charlie Kirk, Nick Fuentes. You get to live in that moment where the choice is between utter devastation and misery and evil and sadism and rot, or life and compassion and happiness and beauty. It's literally that simple. You are choosing between the two. You have the agency to make that choice. Generations from now will look back and say, I wish I had been alive in 2026. I wish I could have been part of that exciting time when socialism turned the corner, when humanity advanced. We are the generation that gets to make that consequential change. You know how lucky we are? We're going to have the chance to inscribe our names and our memories onto humanity's face. Like, do you know how lucky we fucking are to be the people that have this struggle, to carry on this fight? I mean, that's lucky. There's 100,000 generations of humanity, and you get to live in this one.
Sing another song. What does it look like to be really tired? Can you show me? Maybe you yawn if you're tired. Maybe you go like this. Let's pretend we're bunnies and we're such tired bunnies. Oh my goodness, we love this song. See the bunnies sleeping till it's nearly noon. Shall we wake them with a merry tune? They're so still. Are they ill? Wake up soon. Hop little bunnies, hop, hop, hop. Hop little bunnies, hop, hop, hop. Hop little bunnies, hop, hop, hop. Hop, hop, hop. Can you freeze? Freeze. I'm so tired again. Oh, let's go back to sleep. the bunny's sleeping till it's nearly noon, shall we wake them with a merry tune? They're so still, are they ill? Wake up soon. Ding, 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 that's the alarm clock. Skip, 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 little bunny, skip, 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 little bunny, skip, 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 and stop. Let's hop again. Hop, little bunnies, hop, hop, hop. Hop, little bunnies, hop, hop, hop. Hop, little bunnies, hop, hop, hop. Hop, 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 and stop.
This is what childcare, universal childcare will look like, because when it is run through the state apparatus, when it's funded well, when everybody's entitled, that is the best way to ensure quality. Personally, I'd like to see private childcare companies banned or folded into these apparatuses, just like I'd like to see private schools banned. Because when there is no alternative but the public alternative, it forces society to invest in every child the way that the rich currently invest only in their own children. You know how much they pay in tuition for their elementary schools? $60K. The rich will pay $60K for their own child's elementary school education, but balk at paying $7K for your children.
Friends, you know why I'm so happy? Mayor, Mom, Johnny, why? You guys are asleep again? Time to sit again. Let's wake up, wake up, wake up. We're awake now. Come. 1 minute. I think I'm just gonna ask the mayor a question. I feel happy today. How do you feel?
I feel very happy.
Why do you feel happy?
I feel happy.
I feel happy too.
We might all be feeling.
Miss Rachel. I'm so happy to be with you. They're so charming. My heart is a puddle on the floor. Yes? You felt a little sad when you broke your feelings? I feel sad. It's okay to feel sad. I was sad the other day. But I feel really happy.
Oh,
very nice. I'm really happy to see you and you're wearing a smile. Why are you feeling happy?
So I want to share with all of you that I'm feeling happy because yesterday we announced that New York City is going to deliver universal child care for every 2-year-old across the 5 blocks.
Why do you feel happy, or what do you feel? I feel like Oh, she gave you flowers.
She gave you flowers?
That was a really kind thing to do. Giving makes us so happy, and giving childcare makes everyone really happy in our city. Let's sing If You're Happy and You Know It. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Stand up and let's stomp our feet. If you're happy and you know it, the teachers are my heroes. They're so special and they're so wonderful. And we love early childhood teachers and teachers. So thank you to the teachers.
Can you imagine a society that values young child educators? A society that values love and life? One of the things that's a little bit off about the American left is there's this like child-free mentality, which I find to be very off-putting personally. I'm just gonna say it. I have no problem with people who choose not to have children. I think that's totally a reasonable choice. I totally respect you. I think that's valid. I'm not questioning it whatsoever. But I do think it's weird when people are anti-child. I think that's freak behavior. I think it's off-putting. I'll be honest. You're allowed to not personally like children or want them, but when you were like, I'm gonna make my politics about being mad at people for having children, it's fucking weird. And I think that the future is a society where people are respected and cared for, no matter what decision they make, and that children are valued and loved. And when you value and love a child, you don't end up with a child like Asmongold, a neglected, hateful, undisciplined, filthy wretch. Right? We want to have less Asmongolds in our society. But he was neglected and he was not loved. Poor thing. I pity him. What the fuck are you showing me?
Not war, just peace, forever, forever, forever. Decirle al pueblo de Estados Unidos, no a la guerra. No queremos una guerra en el Caribe ni en Sudamérica. No, not war, just peace. No a la guerra loca. Not crazy.
Do you think anybody in the RNC has ever been in a club that had him beat?
No. ¿Cómo se dice en inglés? Please, please, please. Yes, peace. Listen to me. Yes, peace. Peace forever. Peace forever. Peace forever. Esto se llama lenguaje.
All right, chat.
As the governor
Mamdani's
said,
first week in office.
We will deliver to care by working in partnership with childcare providers, especially home-based providers who have been doing this work without thanks or recognition for far too long. We will build on the city's existing 3K program and say no longer will a family in Flatbush be offered a seat but have to find out that that seat is in Astoria. We will add seats in the neighborhoods where demand has not been met.
Welcome to New York One's Off Topic on Politics. I'm New York One's investigative reporter, Courtney Gross. Mayor Zohran Mamdani has his first week already down, and it comes with some pretty big accomplishments and some minor controversies. We'll catch you up on where everything stands. As well, we have a new leader of the city council. As expected, Councilwoman Julie Menon was elected speaker unanimously this week. We will talk about what the council and mayoral relationship might look like. Bobby Kuza is here.
Hey, Courtney. It feels like more than a week, doesn't it?
It's been a long week.
It's been a long week. I know we're going to talk about Governor Hochul and her relationship with the mayor, and they've already had 3 events together.
You're already jumping the gun, Bobby Kuza. I haven't even introduced Kelly. Kelly Mena is here.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. I was going to think of something fun to say, but no. I was thinking of mashing the mayor's name up, maybe like Mayor Zoma, but it's not working out.
I'm not even used to calling him mayor. Like Mayor Mamdani, the alliteration is perfect. It's so good for all of our scripts or just on sets, whatever it is, the podcast. But I'm not there yet. I think it might take me like a month.
Well, then if you lose Zohran, it just doesn't have the same ring. Mayor.
Yeah, it's not as exciting. There's no zomentum to it. There's no
Right.
zomentum to it.
Anyway, let's jump right in. I guess this week.
I like to watch these this happens to be a lot where I watch some people who obviously do not care that much about politics talking about it. And it's always funny to watch people grifting politics. I don't know why. I always find it so funny. It's like watching somebody forced to watch sports who hates sports. All right, fuck these people. I don't give a shit.
Hello, how are you?
Okay, Mamdani got an interview.
Hi, Mr. Mayor.
He's everywhere.
Congratulations.
God, everybody loves him. Can I just talk about, this was one of my predictions that I made before the election and before he was sworn in. I said he was going to get more popular, not less, because he's not a liberal. And the more people see him, the more they're going to like him. Now, I hope he doesn't get overexposed. That's the one thing. If you're too familiar with people, it could be an issue. You don't want to get overexposed, but he is very charismatic. Okay, what do we got today? Thai curry with beef. Ooh. Thank you, Vio. Him and his wife are America's sweetheart. Did you see her? Did you see his wife's photo shoot?
How are you doing?
So good afternoon, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Vio.
Thanks for taking some time out. It's nice to see you here in the Blue Room.
It's lovely to be here with
I
you.
saw your inaugural press conference with so-called new media. I saw you were cheered on the way in. So I'm just wondering, how are we in the mainstream media supposed to compete with?
Look, I think that the important thing is to reach New Yorkers in every way. And I've enjoyed that over the 8 days that I've been the mayor, that I've met with traditional media each and every day at press conferences. We also want to bring in people for whom they are the ways that wake up in the morning on Instagram and go to sleep and see the videos, but it has to be all. It's the
Understood, and you are doing a lot of press availabilities, and I even hear it in your voice. A lot of news today. We're going to start with Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem here in New York City today, promoting efforts to target what she's calling violent criminal networks here in the city. Secretary Noem said that so far the communication has not been productive in her Department of Homeland Security and your office and with the NYPD. So I'm wondering, what if you've been in office, that you've said no to?
Well, they haven't asked me anything directly, but I have instructed my entire city government to follow the law, not to view that law as a suggestion, but rather as a requirement. And part of the law here in New York City are our sanctuary city policies. And that means that we do not allow for ICE agents to enter New York City schools or city properties unless they have a judicial warrant.
I did see
signed by
that
a
court
judge.
space.
But have they asked members of your team for anything different?
Look, I think that the conversations they have with the NYPD are the conversations they have with them, but I can tell you is that I've instructed my NYPD to be very firm about its adherence to the sanctuary city policies, which hasn't always been the case.
Understood. Secretary Noem noted that you and President Trump had a productive meeting, which we all saw. Would you still describe your conversations with President Trump as productive since that meeting, which was sort of surprisingly warm in the Oval Office?
Yeah, I would still say that they are straightforward, they are honest, and they are always focused on what it actually means for New Yorkers.
Has the tone shifted since that meeting in the Oval Office?
I think it continues to be the same, where it's focused on New Yorkers.
When was the last time?
The last time I spoke with the president was when I called him to share my thoughts about the federal action in Venezuela.
Okay, so you haven't spoken with him yet about the situation
Not
facing
since.
New York City. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. Homeland Security officials also today criticized your post yesterday in which you said that an ICE agent had murdered a woman. Was your use of the word murder, Mr. Mayor, premature? Was it appropriate?
I think that it was appropriate. I think that it's factual. I think that if anyone watches that video, they will come away from it with the same conclusion, no matter how it's being mischaracterized by those in the federal administration.
Is that a subject where you might find yourself being a little more cautious, choosing your words if something like that were, say, with your NY?
I think that we always have to be honest about what it is that we're seeing. And I think that it is clear that this is what has happened at the hands of an ICE agent in Minneapolis. And I also know that for New Yorkers, it is much more than a question of semantics. It's a question of fear and anxiety. You know, the other week I sat down for 12 hours and spoke to New Yorkers, and a number of them came and spoke to me, and they told me that they were undocumented. And they told me the immense anxiety and fear that they live with every time they leave the house. We have to make sure that this is a city that's safe for every person who calls it home. And that's what I'll do as the mayor.
Secretary Noem said today that you, Mayor Mamdani, are standing with illegal people who have broken our law before putting New York City citizens. And she was responding specifically to a question today in which you said that this was the latest horror in a year. Do you have a response?
Well, I don't know how that factual assessment of what we've seen across the country is what she has described it as. What I will tell you is I'm the mayor of a city where more than 3 million New Yorkers are immigrant New Yorkers. I'm one of them. And I am going to be a mayor who's going to deliver for all of them. And I'm not going to be asking them what their nation of origin is or their documentation is. I'm going to simply ask, is this your home? If so, we will deliver you the city that you deserve.
Earlier today, on day 8 in office, you zeroed in on children age 2. So I'm wondering, how many 2-year-olds do you think ultimately will require 2 care slots in the 4th year? We know those children aren't born yet, they're not even conceived yet, but how many do you think you'll need to ramp up to?
Well, I think first, just to begin, that it's been such an exciting day because we began the day announcing the state's commitment to $1.21 billion being sent to New York City to fulfill.
I know a lot of people plan their how many children they're going to have based on the financial realities, and not having to worry about childcare is going to cause a baby boom in New York, no doubt.
Fill our pledge for universal childcare by.
Do I ever stop stuffing my face? It's so funny to come to a guy who's 170 pounds and be like, "You're fat." I'm not even fat in streamer space. Like, I'm not a fucking methamphetamine straw man like Asmongold. But I mean, it's so funny that, God, it's so funny they come in here and say the things that are the most pathetic shit is to call a a normal weight man fat and then say, Mike, here's a video of a girl you dated 7 years ago. That's what Asmongold does. I just say, look at you. Speaking of that, 5'1" and 1. Yeah, 5'1". Yeah, totally. One of my favorite things about Asmongold is that he's responsible. God, I could go for a cigarette right now. How about you, chat? How many of you could go for a cigarette? What did Asmongold's mom used to smoke? Does anybody know? I want to start smoking again. She strikes me as like, what did she smoke? Probably something pretty cheap, right? She couldn't afford, they probably, for most of her, they probably couldn't afford any, like, Newports? Yeah, Newports. Definitely Newports, yeah. I should ask them. Marlboro Reds, too premium of a cigarette for her.
And then by starting to deliver it for 2-year-olds. So in the first year, we're going to deliver it to 2,000 children. In the second year, about 12,000. And we anticipate that that will be about of what we will get to by the end of our first term.
And is Governor Hochul picking up the entire cost of that for the first 2 years, or is there an additional cost?
Marlboro or premium? No. But if you're on public assistance, you know, you don't have, you get whatever the, you know, cheapest cigs are. You know, let's just be honest. Come on.
Governor Hochul is picking up the entire cost of that as part of the commitment and the partnership with our city.
What about the child care you've also said you want to for infants, babies 6 weeks old and...
Somebody said rollies? Nah. Rollies require executive function. There isn't any in the Asmongold house. Can you imagine them like laying out some paper and like putting effort in to do a rollie? No fucking way. No fucking way.
And older toddlers who also need a place to work. When do you expect that?
By the end of my time as the mayor of the city.
So you think by the end of 4 years, you'll have everything in place, all the way up to age 5, over the 4 years?
Well, I hope to have 8 years in office.
Why hasn't Asmongold ever got canceled? Well, it's hard to cancel a bot program. You know what I mean? Like, Eastern Europeans and bots, you know, when Eastern European fascists sees Asmongold's house, they're like, wow, it's an upgrade.
Well,
and what I'm saying is that by the end of my first term, I will have delivered universal childcare for 2-year-olds, having fixed universal childcare for 3-year-olds, and then in the second term, start to deliver it for 1-year-olds and those of 6 weeks and older.
You wanted to fund this using a tax increase on the wealthy. Governor Hochul reiterated today that is...
No, not at all. What we are focused on are the outcomes, and we've always said that we think that the most straightforward ways are the ones that we've shared, and also the most important thing is that
back to my lunch.
Might it get easier for her after she's through her election year, assuming she wins re-election?
I can just tell you about what the governor is doing right now, and that's fulfilling the commitment to New Yorkers of making this a more affordable city.
Mr. Mayor, have you received any...
It is funny that Asmongold complained about people making fun of the fact that he gave cigarettes to his mom, thereby causing her to, when she was on 100% oxygen, to explode and catch on fire. And he did this whole weepy shit about how people are so mean. And then he turns around and he enjoys making fun of a young mother being murdered on the street by ICE in cold blood. He's okay with that. He supports that. He justifies that. But he cries weepy tears for, you know, the shit that he directly contributed to. It's like, you don't get to cry weepy tears about people making fun of you and then turn around and justify the murder of a young mom. That's like, get the fuck out of here.
Of the type of letters that she described. Are you the recipient of any of these?
Those are letters that are going at the state level.
About child care.
Yes,
but I'm just saying, anything else? Have you gotten any
I said that they knew what they were doing. They came down there to do this, pulled out their phones for clout. They wanted a situation to happen to post it on social media. I hope they enjoyed the blue wave. I mean, first of all, American citizens have the right to film law enforcement. We don't serve law enforcement. We don't serve the state. The state serves us, you fascist European twerp. Cops do not get special respect and authority. They are there to maintain the peace and serve citizens. That's what they get paid for. I'm not there to service them. I'm not there to listen to their orders. I don't know what kind of peasant brain you've got, but here in America, we don't roll like that. And I'll say this right now. This country isn't going to go back to the center. It's not going to happen.
Not of that nature.
Any other surprises here in your first week in office?
Well, I think one of the most exciting things, frankly, is that now that I am in office, it means we're actually able to deliver on what we've been talking about. And today, you know, we're talking about one of the biggest priorities, which is universal childcare. But we also want to show New Yorkers that no issue is too small. And so the other day, just on the floor above this, we were having a cabinet meeting, and I brought up in conversation the Williamsburg Bridge. And there's a bump that every cyclist knows when they're coming off of it. And I asked, how quickly could we fix this? And the answer was tomorrow. And I think that is indicative of what we want to do here in city government. We want to show that we are moving as fast as New Yorkers are.
When the mayor asks, people move quicker, right? So no traps set for you by Mayor Adams? Nothing surprising, nothing left for you?
I think that right now, most of what we're facing is that which what we expected, but we will always be transparent and honest with New Yorkers.
Have you moved into Gracie Mansion yet?
Not as yet.
Oh, do you know when?
Sometime before the end of the month. I can tell you that my apartment is currently filled with boxes.
I'm sure. I was going to ask you if the mansion is haunted, but I guess you don't know yet.
I really hope it's not.
Last, tell us about any upcoming meeting you're excited about. And also, are you reaching some corporate leaders who say they're watching your economic justice agenda? They're also wondering what you'll do to sort of help make this friendly atmosphere, to them grow their businesses, not only help the little guy, but business in New York City.
And I think at the heart of all of this is that we have to continue to generate prosperity here in New York City. And what I believe is that's a prosperity that has to touch the lives of each and every New Yorker. And so I've appreciated the conversations I've had with corporate and business leaders over the course of the campaign. Those are ones I'm going to keep having as the mayor of this city. And what I'm so excited about, frankly, in terms of the meetings that are upcoming, it's the daily meeting that I have with my cabinet, because it is a cabinet that I look at and see a reflection of the commitment we made about excellence in our administration, and one that is already delivering for New Yorkers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate the time.
Real pleasure.
I'm sure we'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I really don't like Brad Lander, dude. Will a liberal leftist ever dethrone Greg Abbott? The only time Texas is ever going to go to the left, which is if there's a national realignment, because Texas is more conservative than the country as a whole. So in order for Texas to go blue, it has to already be a massive landslide. That being said, I believe Texas is close enough that with a strong enough of a realignment, it could go to the Democratic Socialist left. So instead of like 65% of the population supporting the policies, in Texas, it's probably somewhere around 58%. That's still the majority, but it's a smaller majority. So I think, you know, if we're fighting in Texas, that means we've already got it wrapped, which is a good thing. All right, what else did I want to say? Oh yeah, chat, it is Friday. Thank you everybody for supporting the stream. I didn't really chill today, but it's fine. I don't really care. That means it is Friday, chat, and we have an event every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We get together on the Discord and we watch a movie. This week we are watching One Battle After Another. 6 p.m. Pacific.
Rise and shine.
Bat an eyelash.
Good morning.
There are no hands on the clock.
Why?
Because they're not needed.
What time is it?
You know, I don't remember that part. All right, let's just not nitpick over the passwords. This is Bob Ferguson. I was a part of the French 75.
Bitch, I felt like Tony Montana!
Steve Lockjaw just attacked my home, and I cannot remember, for the life of my only child, the answer to your question.
Maybe you should have studied the rebellion text a little harder.
I need to find my daughter.
Well, then call us back when you have the time.
You just...
You know, you are so unsuitable for my daughter. My child comes from a whole line of revolutionaries. And you look so lost. What are you gonna do about this baby?
You know what freedom is?
What?
No fear. Go. not one thing, it's another. Find that to be true.
All right,
I need you,
chat.
brother. Sensei, please. Courage, Bob. Courage. That's it. Courage.
Thank you. Thank you, Sensei. Thank you, Sensei. Thank you. God damn it. Viva la revolution!
All right, chat. We are watching one battle after another tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, on the Discord. There it is. The link's in the chat. I found it to be pretty good. Not gonna lie, I do enjoy it. I have my criticisms of it. There are some certain tropes that I think I'm bored of at this point, and I find just annoying. But outside of those things, it's pretty fun. So we'll talk about it. 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on the Discord. The link's in the chat. And yeah, let's watch trailer 2. I'll be right back.
What I'm doing here is I'm creating a closed circuit. Very important to keep your cap shunted like this so you don't accidentally detonate your charge.
Don't stop. I want you to create a show. This is an announcement on revolution. The message is clear.
I'll be seeing you very soon.
Not if I see you first.
Viva la revolution!
For bringing justice to the vigilante group known as the French 75, we are here to award Stephen Lockjaw with the Medal of Honor.
You have to understand, Will,
Me and Mom used to run around and do some real bad They got hurt. Now they're coming after us. Sorry.
I didn't ask for this. That's just how the cards were rolled out for me.
it's not cards. You don't roll cards. It's dice.
Dad, what is wrong with you?
You're right.
Let's go. I got a tunnel.
Oh, what's going on?
I need a weapon, man. All you got is goddamn nunchucks here. You know where I can get a gun?
I wanted to protect you from all your mom's stuff and all my stuff, even though I know that's impossible.
Guess this is the end of the line.
Not for you.
Whoa, who's this?
Oh, they're just my friends.
Now, is that a he or a she or a they?
It's not that hard. They, them.
Okay, I just want to be polite.
Keep running, jumping the aqueducts, fire hydrants and hazardous smoke alarms on the back of us. But mama, don't cry for me, rap for me, try for me, live for me, breathe for me, sing for me.
Yo, say it. Say it, baby.
Love you, Bob.
Love you too.
You know what freedom is? No fear. Just like Tom Cruise.
All right. That's going to be it, chat. I'm sending you over to Vio, who is playing Fallout New Vegas for the first time. And based on my understanding of Vio's personality, I feel like a yes man run is coming. Vio doesn't know what that means, but knowing Vio, I believe a yes man run is coming. So if that sounds interesting to you, Vio running the Wasteland, Vio playing New Vegas is hilarious. Oh yeah, I bet. All right, everybody, stay safe. Solidarity forever, my friends. We are living in a moment of pure contradiction. On the one hand, we have some of the best politicians and leaders I've ever seen in my life rising in America, while at the same time, the right is degrading to the lowest level, the Asmongoldian level of pure moral and physical rot. And that contradiction is incredibly stark, but I want you to remember, socialism will win. Free Palestine, and please be supportive of VO in their first run of New Vegas. All right, everybody, stay safe. I'll see you tonight for one battle after the another. Peace out.